Come on. Come on. No.
What's the problem?
It's this mouse, dude. This mouse is giving me problems again.
Maybe you shouldn't have gotten that cheap knockoff one from the off-brand site.
Dude, trust me, I know. And there it is. Oh, I'm going to lose my mind, dude.
You gonna be okay?
No. This piece of off-brand garbage is like dealing with a half-brain person, dude. I'm going to lose my freaking mind. I'm sending this thing to the freaking shadow realm. I'm done.
There he goes. And there he goes.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah, I feel better.
You know, Glorious just launched a new D2 mouse. Why don't you just get that? Save yourself some trouble. And the blood pressure issues.
I'm already ahead of you. This is the latest D2 mouse from Glorious. It's just so light and easy to use, and it feels so good when it glides across my mouse pad and these ridges. Oh, it just feels so nice inside of my hand. It's perfect. Oh, it just feels so good to touch this thing. It's so responsive, you know? It's got that nice weight to it. It just fits so perfectly inside my hand.
I guess I'll buy one too.
Hey, when you order, don't forget to use promo code Regiment at checkout to get 10% off.
We have a promo code?
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Blacklisted Gaming Podcast. I'm just kidding. Welcome back to another episode of the Barracks Party. We are back, me and Blake. We had a good episode last episode that we talked with Justin. Justin was our outdoors manager about all the swimming with the whale sharks and stuff. But this week we're back to business talking about actual fucking news. Now, me and Blake did do an episode prior to that, and it is now like unusable. So I was in the middle of editing it, and in the middle of my editing, I was like, wait, why are our cameras frozen? Mm-hmm. And so now as a result, I'm really going to have to fucking pay attention to my OBS to make sure that doesn't happen again.
That was a good one too.
It was a pretty good one.
That was a good one. Now all of you have to live with knowing that there is a lost episode that y'all will never be able to see or experience.
It wouldn't be the first time that happened to me. I'm going to be honest. There was times where there was an episode me and Doc did where we had to record the whole thing over again.
I remember you telling me about that. I remember you and Doc both telling me about that multiple times, actually.
We didn't. It wasn't the whole thing. I swear
it's like once a month you run into a technical issue.
Yeah.
Where you're like, fuck. Usually you catch it right before we start, and you're like, oh, thank God I saw this.
Oh yeah, I mean, like even still, like one thing I didn't do is I didn't give us an audio check before we even. I was like, give me one right now.
Mic check. 1, 2. Roger Dodger.
Everything works so far. So, yeah, there was an episode that we recorded, and I don't know what happened, but basically it froze our cameras, and every time I'd switch scenes, like to see the articles, it would be frozen on that. So like it would move, but it would be like it was laggy as fuck for some reason, and it would freeze. And then when I would switch scenes, it would like move and then freeze. And then when I'd switch back, it would move and freeze. And it was just like, what the fuck happened? And I think it was because I was sharing my screen with you.
Yes.
That's it triggered after that. That's what I realized. I'm like, what caused this? So I can keep an eye out for it for the next one. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that like it was right after I started sharing screen, within a minute after doing that, everything went shit.
That's one thing I hate about like OBS, just technology in general, is like one day, no problems. You can do certain things and it doesn't fuck with it. The next day you do the same thing and it's like, no, that actually is not compatible today. We're sorry. And you're like, fuck, like I can't tell you how many times I've started streaming and something has fucked up because I updated my computer, and like my audio levels are fucked, my scenes are fucked, like, and I gotta go in and find whatever the hell went wrong and fix it.
Yeah. OBS also has
hate
this
that.
really fun, like, little habit of forgetting your audio or forgetting
Yeah.
what your audio
Yeah, it
input is. Even though it says on the fucking properties that is the audio input, it's not capturing it for some reason. So you got to delete it and start over again with the whole fucking audio input. And you're like, why did you forget this? What made you forget this?
Yeah.
I don't get
Usually
it.
a computer update is what I've got it down to. Every time I've updated my computer, my audio goes away, or it changes like the levels. It'll take it from like, you know, negative 15, I think is what I have it at, and it'll put it at 0. So I go to talk and people are like, dude, you're screaming. I'm like, oh, my audio is fucked up and now it's loud as shit. Sorry, everybody.
I've had that happen to me too. When I was streaming a lot, they're like, why are you yelling? And I'm like, what do you mean? This is normally how I talk. Like, you were so loud right now. I'm like, what? And I look at my set, and then I happen to look over at my OBS, and I'm looking at my audio levels, and I'm like in the red.
Yeah.
Like, even just by normally talking, I'm in the red, and it's like it maximized my volume for some reason. And I was like, what the fuck? Why did you do that?
Mine likes to, not only that, but anytime I unplug this camera and take it, like I'll go to Utah, take it with me, come back, plug it back into the computer, and it does this fucking glitch thing. And I've been able to figure it out pretty easily by just like switching ports. This time, however, this past month, I have switched it around so many ports and it just hasn't fucking fixed it. I haven't recorded it in a couple days since the last time I did it, so maybe I found the right one. I can't remember. But that's like the thing. It does the little like little flash, or like that line like right across. It does that weird glitch line. And I'm like, what? I don't get why it fucking does that. It's got to be my cord.
Doc has the same issue where he's got the same camera as me. And whenever we like get ready to, like, you know, he goes in the video call, his camera looks like you're looking through shutters. Like there's lines like down, like just a black lines going all the way down. Like you're looking through fucking shutters. And he's like, why does this keep fucking happening? Like he'll go into like the Elgato camera hub, and it's not like that. It's only like that on Discord during our video call.
OBS is the only place it does that.
Is it really?
Yeah, OBS is the only place. So, I mean, there's settings, I've looked into it, but there's like, it's like with any technical problem, you go to Google what could fix it, and they're like, here's 15 different things, and by the way, you have to be like a software engineer to have any grasp of reality of what the fuck I'm telling you. And I'm like, damn it.
Oh yeah, pretty much all the time. It's like there's been somewhere I've seen you have to go into your BIOS, and I'm like, what the fuck? I have to go into my BIOS for this? For those that don't know what the BIOS is, that's like basically the fucking hardware settings of your PC. Like, and you can only go in there on the startup. Like you have to hit like a combination of keys on your keyboard to go into your BIOS, and you can only do it when your PC is starting up. You can't just go to your BIOS menu. That's the only way to access it. I've had to do it several times.
I did it when I put the new RAM in this computer, and it turned on. Obviously, the RAM was different, so it took me straight to that shit. And I thought I like got resurrected out of the Matrix or something. I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Had no idea. Thankfully, it was a very easy YouTube tutorial, and like it took 2 seconds. Usually when I look that shit up, there's something different that I have to figure out. But
I forgot to tell you that.
Very easy.
I'm sorry. I feel a little responsible for not telling you and giving you a heads up. Like, hey, by the way, when you put the RAM in, you can't just put the RAM in. Once you put it in, you got to go in your BIOS and set it up and validate it.
Yeah.
Like,
Thankfully, I was also on FaceTime with Kate at the time, and it happened. I was like, what the fuck is this? And she goes, what, you don't know that? She's built like 4 computers, so she's very familiar with all that shit. And I was like, I have no fucking idea how to do this.
It's always nice when your woman can help you with a computer issue. My wife often helps me with a computer issue. By the way, I'm a software developer. So, like, there's a lot of things with like computers that I'm just still like learning. But
she helps me with computer problems, and then only thing I can really help her with technologically is Excel. It's about all I know.
My wife helps me with like Excel, She's currently trying to learn data analytics. She's thinking she wants to become a data analyst, and I'm like, interesting. Okay, go for it. Like, they make a lot of money. There's a big demand for it. I thought there was a big demand for software developers. Evidently, there's not, because I'm still fucking looking for a job 2 months after I graduated.
You only looking in your town, or are you looking remote too?
I'm looking all over the country. I'm looking at internships. I'm looking at federal jobs. The thing about federal jobs, they're in person, and they want you to relocate to like Baltimore, DC, Atlanta, Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, New York, fucking big city shit. Like, they want you to relocate.
The worst cities to live in.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone
Detroit,
that lives in them.
Detroit, Michigan.
I never want to live in any of those.
No, it's not. It's not at all any place that I wanted to live at all. I'm like looking. I'm like, is there anything in fucking like Dallas? No, there's not. And I'm like, what about all these remote fucking jobs? And I've noticed that a lot of companies are making only the senior level jobs remote. Everybody else has to come in. I'm like, so your fucking boss can work remote, but you can't. That's kind of shit. A lot of companies are going that route, and it sucks. But
I think it's just the control aspect, and they're like, we don't want to bring someone on. They treat you like a child.
Well,
like any job, they're like, let me hold your hand. And you're like, I'm an adult, bro. Like, fuck.
My wife's coworker's husband is a software engineer, and he's in a management role. And he broke it down to me like this. He's like, a lot of these companies, the only companies that you'll see that are cool with the remote thing are startup tech companies. Larger companies are still run by old people that truly believe that the office environment is the best way to work.
Not the case anymore.
And it's not the case anymore, no. So, like, that's why you've been seeing a lot of these companies go back to working back in the office, because they're this old generation of people, and they truly believe that being in the office is, like, the optimal way to work. Versus startup companies that are run by younger generations, like my generation and younger, where they recognize you don't have to be at the workplace to do this certain jobs. Like IT shit, you can do that from home.
You also save a fuckload of money by not having to rent out a building every month.
Oh yeah, that too. That's the other good thing.
Like, you just get rid of a bunch of overhead and be like, oh, okay, cool. We didn't have that great of a month. Well, at least we don't have a fucking building. And then putting chairs and desks, cubicles, fucking equipment and that shit. It's like, hey, you're gonna do this, but like most people can have a monitor at home to plug into. You just send them a laptop, and they'll be like, "I'll just get a dual monitor set up and plugins for $150, and boom, I'm cruising."
I also thought that I could leverage my security clearance a little more, and that has not been the case. Then again, I don't. Yeah, like because I have a secret level security clearance, and so like I qualify for public trust clearance and shit like that. So all these jobs that I've applied for, granted, like my security clearance is currently inactive, and to reactivate it, they have to pay for the clearance and stuff. But like it 2 years, like no, 2020. No, it's good for 2 years after you get out. So 2022 is when it went back into inactive status. So my security clearance was active until 2 years ago, and now here we are. And I'm like, well, all I got to do is like, it's not as easy as just reactivating it. No, you got to like basically. I've held it before, you know that I qualify for it. It's inactive. All you have to do is like basically run the check again, and then pay to reactivate it. So, but these companies are just like, I don't know. There's only one company that I got a rejection letter where it says, though your skills and your resume are impressive, we decided to seek other candidates. And I'm like, all right, thanks. You're
just
good,
found
man.
Somebody that's been doing it for 10 years.
It's the experience.
Take that guy instead.
It's like, you need to come in and you know what's fucked? They're like, what kind of jobs are you looking for? I'm like, junior level, entry level jobs. Junior developers, entry level, but they're like, you need to have a bachelor's or master's degree in engineering, 5+ years of experience. I'm like, this is a junior entry level job. You want me to have all of this for a junior?
Like, how am I supposed to get it?
Like at a junior entry level. Like, this isn't just like, hey, you know, you're working in a high level position, like a senior or a manager. No, this is junior entry level, fresh out of college. But they want you to come in they want you fresh out of college with a fucking master's degree in engineering. Like, what?
Mm-hmm. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. You need experience to get experience.
Speaking of getting experience,
what's up? Oh, yeah.
This fucking article.
So let's talk about...
That's actually a perfect segue.
So we're going to dive into articles today. First article we're going to talk about is the Marine Corps cuts time for skill bridge transition program, citing a drain in unit readiness. Basically, they want you to have less time to prepare for your transition out of the military and focus more of your time and effort into the Marine Corps because, you know, Marines, that's the Marine Corps. Also, Air Force veteran is accused of disclosing classified data on aircraft, weapons, in latest military leak case. It's always the Air Force motherfuckers leaking shit. Navy lowers physical standards for sailors. Gone are the days of...
Doc.
Yeah, there you go, Doc. Oh, by the way, we have a fucking... Speaking of Doc, we have an ice cream social update to give it to everybody. Doc informed us last week that he's like, hey, remember when, like, guys, like, we fucking got an ice cream fucking social, dude. They were on their way. It was a couple of weeks before they had an ice cream social, and Doc was like, what the fuck? They were supposed to port into Sweden and have some nice little cushy times in Sweden, and immediately got fragoed to fucking do some operation. So they got an ice cream social and then told, like, we're not going to Sweden anymore, kids. Womp womp.
There it is.
Another thing of the Air Force, free speech is not allowed on federal installations. It's actually punishable under UCMJ. Don't you love it? This is the one thing. This is actually one of the big reasons why I got out of the military. It's like, I swear to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I am in a position where I'm supposed to protect the Constitution, yet I can never use those rights until I'm
they're
out.
Void.
Like you are not like basically the constitutional rights do not apply to you in service. Yet you are fucking tasked with protecting it. It's like I have to protect the fucking Constitution, even though I'm like not covered by it in the military. What the fuck?
You're like, hey, let me show a little bit of my opinion here, and they're like, hey, you don't talk about your fucking opinion. All right, shut the fuck up. Go color. All right.
Yeah, go color. Go fucking sit in the corner and just jerk off. The Department of Defense approves 87. You know, we always talk about a food issue in the military, right? So the Department of Defense approves $87 million grant to send soldiers lab-grown meat. Because this won't lead into another PACT Act situation, you know? Lab-grown meat, it's like everyone's got stomach cancer. Why did that happen? I don't know, man. Maybe
we
it's the
tested
fucking...
something on the military. Fucking guinea pigs, dude.
Which
is always
that's
wild
all
to
we
think
are.
about.
We're guinea pigs, bro. That's it. That's all we are for everything.
And you're just like, okay, cool, whatever.
And you get punished for not fucking going along with the experiment too. It's like, but I don't want to like have like physical issues and die after I get out. It's like, too bad, bitch. You signed up for it. And then our last topic we're going to talk about, because it's a big one, Dr. Disrespect. Dr. Disrespect. We converted a doc to a PDF file.
God. He doesn't, like I said earlier, he doesn't deserve to be called Doc anymore. He's Mr. Disrespectful. That's what he is.
He's
now.
gonna lose his license he's gonna lose his fucking doctor license for this one.
Oh. They're gonna rip his practice away from him.
If you've been living under a rock and don't know why if you don't know about Dr. Disrespect in this situation, which I don't know how you wouldn't. Dr. Disrespect is a big streamer. One of the biggest streamers. Got banned from Twitch in 2020, and he was never allowed to disclose why. Twitch even said, we will never disclose why. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Well, it came out he was inappropriately messaging a minor through Twitch's whispers. And and this was all brought out by a former Twitch employee who got fired, which kind of left a lot of speculation on the table about the validity of this. But then Dr. Disrespect responded it and basically confirmed it. So we're going to dive into the amazing fall of Dr. Disrespect, because he will never financially recover from this, as Joe Exotic would say. His career is done. His career is over with, bro.
He went from top of the world A-list fucking streamer to no one's gonna watch him. Like, I'm granted, people are still gonna watch him. He's still gonna have like really like wild numbers. But I've seen some, like, even after his tweet, like I saw someone post his tweet on a TikTok, and the comment section was just still like, "We love you, Doc. Take as much time as you need. This, that, and the third." And I'm like,
oh yeah, people will still like, you know, and honestly, I attribute that to cancel culture and what it's turned into, because people have been going after Dr. Disrespect for a long time, especially Twitch employees. There was even a thing that I said I can't really confirm the validity of it, was that like a lot of Twitch employees just had it out for him and were looking for a reason to get rid of him. And then this happened and they're like, ban him now. But it also, like, if it was such a bad thing, why did Twitch not do more about it?
yeah.
And this happened because this situation happened in 2017, and they sat on it for several years before they decided to ban him. And I don't really understand why. And the other thing I don't understand,
there had to be some legal shit, lawyers involved in the background.
Well, no, because
like, hey,
they offered, like, that in 2020 is when they offered him that contract. And they knew about this in 2017. So a couple years after this event happened, they offered him a multi-million-dollar contract and then terminated him and paid him out.
True.
And this was like, and a lot of people were saying that they only did that because he was the biggest streamer at the time and they were competing against Mixer. And there was talks that Doc was in, like, because Mixer had just given like a multi-million-dollar contract to Ninja to go to Mixer. And people, and like, because Doc was like obviously there and like he has no contract, no partnership, Twitch was trying to scoop him up to keep him from going to Mixer. Well, then they decided to get rid of him. I don't know. It's just a weird situation. What he did was absolutely fucking wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Oh, 100%.
I don't, the only thing, what I'm saying is I don't understand why all these people sat on this for so long and are just now bringing it up. I mean, like, shame on you,
It's
Twitch,
a bad
for
look
this.
on Twitch too.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, why would you not disclose something like this heinous? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's even because they can see your whispers data, right? They can see these conversations. And there's been Twitch employees that have been on Twitter saying that, like, I used to be part of like the whole like background moderation of these whispers, of like collecting the data on it, seeing these messages, and a lot of there's so many things that they've seen that they wish they could unsee because of how fucking vile and bad it was. And I'm like, if it's so, you're basically, what you're saying is that there's a bunch of fucking pedos messaging minors within Twitch. So what the fuck are you doing about it?
I mean, think about all the people in the past couple years that have been discovered for doing this shit, that are big time streamers and YouTubers and shit. It feels like every other week, another person that you like would watch and you're like, this was my comfort channel back in the day. I fucking love watching it. And then you find out, like, oh,
they're a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, dude. Because like, it's even meme worthy. I see TikToks where it's like streamers, once they get a multi-million-dollar deal, it's like, you know, I kind of wanted to fuck kids, and everyone's like, what? You know, it's like,
is that the Tony Stavici or whatever? I remember he made one just a minute ago. You know,
yeah, it's like, you know, yeah. I see. It's
hold on 1 second. Yeah.
What is going on where these guys are getting these, as soon as they get these big multi-million-dollar contracts and start making money, you find out they're like they become a big piece of shit. I don't get it. Like, how does this happen? Why does this keep happening?
It's, God, it's just, it's gross. It's fuck. It's also that thing too, where it's like seeing all of this and with like having a platform personally and everything like that. I'm like, no, like, listen, I'm not, it's nothing against anyone, but it's like, hey, if you DM me, you're DMing me a story that I'm either sharing, like for the haunted shit that I've been doing, or fucking that's it. Like I have no reason to really DM anybody because I don't want to have to go down a rabbit hole of DMing someone and then learning like, oh, this person was fucking underage. And granted, I have a girlfriend. I'm not messaging anyone in that way. But I don't want to message somebody, have just a regular conversation about something, and then learn that this person was under 18. Like I'm not messaging anyone because it's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, no, I don't want. I have nothing to talk to you about if you're under the age of 18.
Yeah.
I just don't. I have nothing to. I don't care what it is. I have nothing to talk to you about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a person that would watch me frequently when I was streaming a lot, and she would flirt with me in my chat. I wouldn't really humor it or anything. I just kind of like laugh it off and stuff. And my buddy DM'd me because we were playing Call of Duty, and she was playing with us. And he texted me. He's like, "Dude, she's underage." And I'm like, "Is she fucking really underage?" So like I had to be like extra careful to really not engage with like whatever she was saying because like and she never told me that she was underage, right? But I didn't actually like engage with any of the flirty shit that she was saying because she would do it in my chat, right? She never DM'd me or anything like that, but I knew she was underage. So I just was like staying away from it as much as I could, staying away from any real conversation. No private conversations would fucking happen. It was always like she was in my chat saying things. And I was just like, oh, okay. Huh. You know, just like really trying to avoid it because I don't know these people and they don't tell you. So a lot of times they don't tell you how old they are, right? So like I would never engage in conversation with people unless I personally knew them. Like I don't DM you at all. If I don't even respond to DMs unless I personally know that person because I have nothing to say to anybody. I don't like talking to strangers. I just avoid conversation with strangers.
I'm the same way. It's like, dude, I don't know you. It's nothing against you. You know me because you watch me and you hear me talk about things. I don't know who you are. Like to me, you are a name on the screen. And yeah, eventually, if you're around the community a shitload, like I'm gonna recognize your name. I'm gonna recognize you. I'm gonna remember things about you. I'm going to get to know you. But as far as privately messaging you, I don't have interest in that because like I don't. You're not like someone I know in person, and I also don't know what your intentions are.
Yeah.
Like there are people that will act like they're friends with you and then try to back you into a corner and get you comfortable and ask you a question politically, right? And get your opinion on it and then just put it out to the fucking world and be like, cancel this fucking dude. Like look at what this person said. Like that, I mean, that's a real thing. And it's like I have no interest in it. You know, you ask me those kind of questions while I'm streaming, I'll answer. Cool.
Stop.
You know?
My camera froze. Super awesome. My camera straight up fucking shut off for some reason.
That fucking sucks.
I don't know how long ago that happened.
That sucks.
It's always a technical issue, isn't it?
Yep.
I really don't know how the fuck that happened. That was weird. Anyway, but yeah, like I avoid talking to people that I don't know. And it's for reasons like that.
I had very similar encounters to you saying that person flirting with you. I've had that happen.
It was
twice.
not. I can't really call it flirting. It was just like it seemed like it was flirting, even though to like I guess to me it didn't seem like it, but it could be perceived as that. But I didn't like. I was just like ha ha ha, you know, kind of like whatever, and just going about my games.
Yeah.
But they were always in my fucking chat. They were constantly following me, commenting on my posts, and I didn't engage in any of it. And I was just like you are a child.
It's weird. I've had twice in the past year, and this is while I've been dating Kate, but twice this woman would come in and be like, "Hey." Da, da, da. I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on? Welcome into the stream, all that shit, being friendly. And then within 1 to 2 streams, it turns into the so are you single? And I'm like, no, I'm not actually. And both times they were like, are you looking for a third? No, I'm not.
Are
at
you
all.
looking for
I
a
would,
third?
yeah. And I'm like, no, we're not at all. And like, Kate always watches my stream, so she's in there, and it's like, no, like we're not. That's not what's going on here or anything like that. Please, like, be respectful. You can hang out, but this is your warning. Like, you're not doing this right now. This isn't gonna fucking happen, right? And then they just kept doing it, kept going, and it would be like warning 2, warning 3, warning 4, and then both times it just got to a point. I'm like, okay, you're gonna keep trying and doing whatever the fuck you're doing. Bye. You just ban. Get the fuck out of here. I have nothing.
As
Told you
Queso
so
would
many
say-
times.
As Queso would say, okay, you're banned. Ban.
No, for real though. It's like you can't show common fucking decency and you're gonna keep doing this fucking weird shit. I don't know
Yeah.
who you are. Again, you're a name on a screen and you're coming at me with this energy. Like, no, get the fuck out of here. I'm not here to do this.
Thankfully never had that ever. Like, I don't know what it is about me, but I'm just not a fucking person that gets hit on ever. Maybe I do,
You're
and
so
I just
cute,
don't.
though.
I don't realize that I'm getting hit on, maybe. But like for the most part, I'm never. No one flirts with me. And
See,
even,
I
even
don't
my wife's
realize
like,
it
I don't
until-
understand why people don't flirt with you. And I'm like, I'm not a flirtable person. I mean, maybe I just appear not approachable. In all honesty, I don't think I'm an approachable person.
I didn't really realize it both times until Kate said something. She's like, this chick, like, she wants it. I'm like, bullshit. Like, they're just being, they're just joking around, this, that, and the third.
She
I'm
wants
like, no. And
she
then
wants that dick.
and then that's when the whole, like, it would get out of hand, and I'm like, all right, bye. You're out of here.
Yeah. Thankfully, I never had a situation like that. Like, most of the people that are watching me, or the 5 people that ever do watch me, are people that I personally know, or they're other vets. Like, it's never like, I don't ever have anybody in my shit to like just trying to fucking flirt with me.
Which that just goes to show how easy it is to avoid this situation.
Exactly.
Mr. Disrespectful has found
Fucking-
himself in. You just ban people.
We're not
and
gonna
they
call
don't
him that.
fucking
We're gonna
respect
call
you.
him Guy Beam. His name is Guy Beam. Herschel Beam. Herschel Beam. So it's like, but yes, it shows you how easy it is to just not engage with any of it.
Mhm.
It's
You can tell people no.
You can tell people no. Like, you can just avoid conversation with them altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird to me also because Dr. Disrespect, has tens of millions of people that follow him on shit. And he chose to engage with that person.
Mhm.
Usually a person of that status would ignore fucking anybody unless they know that person or the person they're talking to is somebody.
Yep.
But like, to even like spark the conversation with this person and then end up being an underage girl is just and I know how, and I saw Nick Merckx and Tim the Tatman's response to it, and I know exactly what their feelings are, and I'll go into more detail about it when we get to that topic, but I know what they're feeling, and everyone's like, what kind of response is that? I'm like, honestly, they don't know what to feel right now because this was a person they were close to, and then they find out this about them. And I had this happen to me with a really close friend of mine who I considered family. I'm the godfather of his children. I've known him since we were 16, 17. And then I cut ties with him in 2020 because of what he was doing that I found out about. And I got him to admit it to me too.
Really?
Yes, because he denied it. And I kind of more or less bullshit some facts to him that made him think that I was telling that I knew already and got him to admit the whole truth to me in front of his wife.
Fuck. Good for you.
Yeah,
That sucks. Like, it sucks. Don't get me wrong, but still,
it was sucked.
good for you getting that out of him.
It sucked
Especially
really
in
bad
life.
for
Like,
me because
fucking-
like his kids. I'll go into more detail about it when we actually get to it. But first, let's talk about some other topics, kids. I know we kind of went on a whole rant about this kind of shit, but hey, we do what we do. What's up, guys? Regiment in this podcast is brought to you by G Fuel, the ultimate energy drink for gamers. G Fuel uses a special blend of vitamins, antioxidants, and other natural caffeine resources to keep you from having those jitters or even that crash that you normally would have from other energy drink brands. So whether you're having a long gaming session or you're just having a long day and need a pick-me-up, G Fuel definitely has you covered. G Fuel also has a wide array of flavors to choose from. But if you don't know what flavor you want to try, they also sell variety packs on their website, and they even come with a cool shaker. So head on over to gfuel.com and use promo code Regiment at checkout to get up to 30% off. That is Regiment, promo code Regiment down here at checkout to get up to 30% off. The Marine Corps doing Marine Corps things is cutting times for skill bridge transition programs, citing a drain on unit readiness. So the Marine Corps is now limiting the time Marines can participate in a program intended to provide service members a smooth transition into the civilian workforce, citing years of lost manpower. In an administrative message posted Monday, the service said that the Skill Bridge Initiative, a normally 6-month program started by the Pentagon more than 10 years ago to address military to civilian hiring opportunities after the 2008 financial crisis, is being cut into 3 to 4 months for Marines, depending on rank. Marines with the rank of sergeant and below are limited to 120 days at the end of their service to participate in the program. Staff and non-commissioned officers, warrant officers, and officers are allotted 90 days. I'm guessing that the logic behind that is because they're already in a senior level as an NCO or an officer that they, like, especially an officer, guess what? Warrant officers and staff, not NCOs, like, especially warrant officers and officers are almost always college educated in something. It might be a bullshit degree. Often you see a lot of like butter bars coming in with a fucking liberal arts degree just so that they can commission.
Yeah, just something easy to get through school really quick and then go in.
Yeah. Very seldom do you actually see them get a degree in something that they could fucking use because they don't plan on getting out.
No.
And they just get some bullshit degree that's useless just because it's cheap and easy to get and they can commission off of it. So, I wonder if I can get a fucking commission with an associate's degree, or does it have to be a bachelor's?
Has to be a bachelor's. Has to be 4-year.
Why is it always that?
This isn't a bachelor's?
What?
Your degree isn't a bachelor's degree?
No, it's an associate's degree.
I thought this was a bachelor's degree.
No, sir, it's an associate's degree. I only went to school for 2 years.
I got my associates in just like nothing. It was fucking like it was just the base classes and they're like, here's an associate's. Thanks.
No, I got my associates.
Like I didn't learn a skill or anything.
I got an associate's in the applied sciences, IT software development. I can choose to go to get a bachelor's degree because I have enough college benefits from the Army to do that. But in IT, it's not so much your degree that matters, but the experience and certifications you have. So the time, I'm going to use this time to get as many certs as possible. I'm going to be working on several certifications and stuff like that and then like I can work in cheaper, like, and even at the low end for a software developer starting is like 50 to 60,000, depending on where you're going, which is pretty good starting. I mean, not in this fucking economy, it's not, but it's more money than I've ever fucking made. So it's like, to me, it's like, yeah,
awesome.
To me, it's great because I'm starting off on the low end more than I've ever made on the high end. So
yeah,
like for me, it's like, I'm okay with it starting.
That's the thing too, with the whole, like, I'm be very quick with this, but the whole thing with like economics and everything, people being like, can't afford to live on, $75,000 a year. And I'm like, I'm not even making 30, and I was able to keep a roof over my head for 3 fucking years. And yeah, I'm here at my parents' house the next couple months before I move across the fucking country, because it just makes my transition to do that a lot easier instead of paying double for my apartment. But still, it's like you can get by on a lot less. Like, you don't have to have a 4-bedroom fucking house. Like, you can get by on a little.
You can get by on a little, yeah. Like, is it gonna be fun? Fuck no, but
no. But I'm saying, like, when you're making, 60,000 and you've had to get by on a little, $60,000, you feel fucking rich.
Yeah, I mean, dude, my wife makes 75 a year doing what she does,
Yeah.
and we live basically like we make 30. You know, that's how we live. Like, we live well below our means. Anyway, enough of that rant. But the whole point of this whole rant anyway was like talking about like Marines transitioning to like this is gonna really fuck a lot of people.
Yes.
So the Corps said that the Manpower and Reserve Affairs conservatively estimated more than 3,400 years of manpower were provided to the external to the Marine Corps between fiscal years 21 and 24. The impact on the command that needs of the service must be considered and prioritized, and readiness to the force remains paramount, the Marine Corps message said. The Skill Bridge program gives service members an opportunity to gain valuable civilian work experience during their last days of service through training, apprenticeships, or internships, according to the Pentagon. The Pentagon said the program is also valuable to the civilian industry in that it can tap into a highly trained and motivated population at no cost to the employer. This is honestly the Marine Corps' way of being like, we don't want you to be successful in the civilian world. We want you to only be successful as a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me, honestly, it kind of makes me feel like some fucking big conflict is underway. I mean, I already feel like that's happening. But wait, these decisions that these branches are making with keeping people in, even though they don't want to be in, they're not looking at like ways to improve things to keep people in. They're looking into ways to force people in.
Yeah.
And
well, you got to think too, the ones leading, Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Air Force, they've never gotten out.
Oh yeah.
They've never left. They've only ever been in. So they're like, I've made it this far. Like, why the fuck can't you? Like, it was worse back in my day. It's easy now. And it's like, yeah, fuck you. Like, this is life. This is what I know is life. So this is important because I need you to do this for my boss. So they're like, I don't really care about what you got going on. Because they don't know what it's like in the civilian world. The last thing they remember is like high school, college, and then fucking military. You know what I mean? Like, it's the blind leading the blind. And the blind is fucking ignorant.
Yes. So, troops participating in the program still receive military compensation and benefits while they work for the civilian sector. They're also still subject to the UCMJ and their chain of command's authority during their time in the program. With the availability of this opportunity and other resources that support transition from uniform service, Manpower and Reserve Affairs reviewed the impacts to units' readiness and updated the parameters of the program. The message said, the update balances transition support and force readiness. Skill Bridge authorization is at the commander's discretion. It is not a service member's entitlement. So your commander could also straight up say, no, you're not going to go fucking pursue other options. We're going to make sure that you are completely stupid by the time you get out and no skills. It's honestly, if your command is fucking willing to do that, it's a failure of leadership because got it. Like, it doesn't help the readiness of your unit now, but I mean, your job as a leader is the well-being of your subordinates. Like if I was still in as a senior non-commissioned officer and I have a dude that really just wants to get out and pursue a new career path, I'm not going to fuck him over for that. Is it going to suck for my unit readiness and for my squad or platoon or whatever? Yeah. However, I could probably do without him, or I can make do without him, or find someone that can do it in his absence. Even though I know that the fucking manpower issues are still an issue right now, but you make it fucking work, And the Marines are famous for making it work with less. You guys get hand-me-down bullshit. You're, I think, the smallest branch in the entire fucking military. You guys make do with less. So if you can't fucking make do with less, then something's wrong with you. And you're not gonna. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna have a fucking bitter dude during these missions or whatever you're getting ready for. Like, you're going to force him to do all these fucking training events that he doesn't really need to be there for because By the time you guys mobilize, he'll be out. So what all you're doing is you're filling a fucking empty slot for your exercise, even though that slot is going to be vacant anyway during the actual operation. So you're not helping anybody by doing this. You're hurting. Not only are you hurting yourself, you're hurting the fucking individual that's like trying to pursue a new career, because he or she are going to get out of the fucking military and not know what to do. And they're going to be spending that initial portion of time when they could have been in. They got that safety net of being in and like making a steady income, having benefits while they're doing this training, so that when they leave, they are spending less time trying to find a job. They've got one lined up. But no, what you're doing is now you're making it take longer, and they're going to be in a position of failure by the time they get out. So they're going to be basically, when they get out, they're going to have no time to get ready for this shit. They're going to have no safety net while they're in this training, and they have no skills to show for it to even get in that position in the first place, because you wouldn't let them go through this program that basically guaranteed them an in. So now they got to work on finding that in after they're out. And it's just, you're going to see a bunch of fucking like unemployed, pissed off Marines from this one. Anyway,
What I
what?
was to say, what I hate about it too is the whole fucking like you said, force readiness, right? I'm sorry, we're not involved in an active major conflict
Yet.
right now directly. Like we're not sending fucking units upon units to war right now. And these people that want to do skill bridge, they're in the fucking United States, right? Even if we are involved in a conflict, the person's getting out. The units in the U.S., they're not making that fucking deployment. Like, what's the fucking issue here? What's the disconnect? Like, you're gonna go make them play make fucking believe?
You're going to make them LARP in the woods?
Yeah, you're gonna go make them LARP in the woods in account of being mission ready? Like, no, he's leaving. He's not a part of the fucking. He's never gonna be a part of the mission again.
You're going to have to train the new person anyway.
Yeah, like, fuck.
And you think that like you're going to be more ready because you made the person that's going to be gone by the time the operation happens do all this bullshit, so that when they get replaced, you got a fucking fresh cherry boot that came in and knows nothing, and you're going to have to train that person anyway and do it again? You're helping nobody with this. You're not helping your readiness by this. You're just filling the slot in for fucking training purposes, just to say you're ready. But by the time that the actual thing happens, you're still not ready. You know?
Yeah.
And if you're still not ready by that, like I said, it's a failure of leadership and preparation on your part as a leader, because that you basically didn't fucking figure out how to make it work. You forced someone that wasn't going to be there to do it, and now by the time that operation happens, you're not ready, because during your readiness, you weren't prepared for the fact that these people are going to be gone. That is your fault. Anyway, so let's see. So the balance between giving service members a smooth shot at civilian world and their way out and maintaining unit readiness has long been sticking point for the program, as well as the transition from military in general. Then recently separated service members told military.com that Skill Bridge program, which operates under the overall transition apparatus, was valuable but not always available to them because their commanders denied their participation due to mission or training requirements. According to the DoD IG report, Skill Bridge program requires transitioning service members to research potential employers, submit applications, complete interviews with said employer, and obtain their commander's approval to participate if selected by the employer. As a result, service members who start less than a year in advance may not have enough time to participate in Skill Bridge and may miss opportunities to obtain a job upon leaving the military. The new Marine Corps message now breaks the population of participants and duration into 3 categories, which is meant to support commanders in evaluating the impact of individual Marines' request to participate in Skill Bridge with mission and unit readiness requirements, said Major Daniel Phillips. The first category includes privates to sergeants who could participate in the program for 4 months and must obtain approval from their lieutenant colonel commander, an update that is 2 months short of the current Pentagon-wide allotment. The second category includes staff non-commissioned officers up to the rank of gunny, junior warrant officers, and officers up to the rank of major. They also have to get approval from the first lieutenant colonel in the chain of command, but can only participate in the skill bridge program for 3 months. The third and final category includes all other higher ranks who could participate for 90 days, but must get approval from the general officer in their chain of command. That is very high on the chain of command.
Yeah.
The additional allotted time for Category 1 participants is because many young Marines enlist without prior commercial sector experience, and the population separating after an initial enlistment stand to benefit the most from a longer period of training. The Marine Corps is committed to returning quality citizens and making resources available to ease transition from uniformed service to successful commercial sector employment, which is why those Marines with the greatest need are afforded the most time to train. So it said, well, there was a study. What does the study say? There's also limited assistance for finding civilian apprenticeships or jobs, and few resources are available for connecting them with civilian employers. While the study did not cite initiative directly, the Skill Bridge program intends to do just that. Iran found that there's virtually no evidence that any of the programs we examined had the direct effect on transition outcomes. Is that true, though? Honestly, is that true?
What do you mean? Say that part again.
So they said there is limited assistance for finding. So basically, it said the study did not cite the initiative directly. The Skill Bridge program intends to do just that. It said he found that the Skill Bridge, there was virtually no evidence that any of the programs we examined had a direct effect on transition outcomes. So basically, there was no evidence suggesting that the program even works.
There is evidence of it working. I saw people go and do a skill bridge and become a truck driver, get their CDL, and then got out and immediately they were doing what they wanted to do, driving trucks. Immediately had a job. Like, yeah, no, there's evidence of it working. You go and learn a skill so that we can get out and do the skill. Like, that's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard in my life, saying that it doesn't work.
The biggest reason why these programs were implemented in the first place was to combat veteran homelessness and suicides.
Yeah.
The homelessness being the big one, because they found that a big issue with why these vets were homeless is because they would leave the military with no skills. They couldn't do shit. They weren't qualified to do anything because they didn't have the skills to do anything once they got out. And because of that, they had nowhere to go. Like, what do you do with a warfighter that's not in a war anymore? There's nothing he can do. What can he do? So this whole skill bridge thing was supposed to teach them skills so that way that when they do get out, they're not in a position where they're fucked trying to figure out how they're going to live.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's enough of that. Fucking Marines being Marines. We have a lot more topics to cover, and we've been at it for over an hour.
Are you serious? It's been over an hour already?
Well, to be fair, most of that was us figuring it out. I started recording a long time ago.
Okay.
So the Air Force veteran accused of disclosing classified data on aircraft weapons in latest military leak case. So an Air Force veteran in Florida has been charged with unauthorized possession and transmission of classified material related to the U.S. aircraft and weapons, marking the latest case of a current or former service member being accused of mishandling sensitive information. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of Florida announced Thursday that retired Lieutenant Colonel Paul Freeman, 68 of Niceville, has been indicted on federal grand jury on 9 counts of retaining and sharing national defense information. He's 68 years old, Jesus.
Why the fuck did he do? He probably just had it out. He was like, I fucking hate this. I hate it.
Has to be. We'll find out. As alleged in the indictment, Freeman on multiple occasions between November 2020 and March 2021 transmitted classified national defense information about United States Air Force aircraft and weapons to people not authorized to access the information. I almost wonder if this is a War Thunder blog. Prosecutors said in the news Freeman could face up to 10 years in federal prison on each of the 9 counts. Both the FBI and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations are working on the case. The release added. Service record of Freeman provided in military.com by the Air Force shows that him as a retired from active duty service. He joined in 1975 and became an officer in 84 after graduating from the training school. He served until 2003. as a developmental engineer with the 46th Test Squadron at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. He got out in 03.
I feel like all the information he has
is old. It's old. Okay, so maybe he was telling people stuff thinking that, like, well, this is fucking old information. It can't really truly apply anymore, right? So the indictment does not detail the specific information Freeman is accused of disclosing or whom it was allegedly sent. Freeman has a detention hearing scheduled Monday in Pensacola. An attorney was not listed for him in federal court records, but he could not be reached on phone. Whatever. So his case marks the latest in a string of charges and sentences current and former service members have faced related to mishandling classified and sensitive information. In March, a 53-year-old civilian employee who was also a former Army officer faces charges of providing classified information through the online dating app to someone he believed was a woman in Ukraine.
That's so stupid.
Why? On a dating app? So he was like on Tinder, he was trying to impress some chick.
And he's like, look at this. Oh, it's some Russian chick.
The same month.
I mean, we're giving them all of our old gear. So
I
he's
know.
probably like, I know some shit about this.
Yeah, like, hey, this is how you use a fucking javelin. Here's the specs on a Bradley fighting vehicle. So the same month, Airman First Class Jack Teixeira, Air National Guardsman with a 102nd Intel Wing at Otis National Guard Base in Massachusetts, pleaded guilty to 6 violations of the Espionage Act related to leaking highly classified Department of Defense information online in early 2003. And that was because someone on Discord called him a cuck, and he wanted to prove them that what he was saying was true.
I remember that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Teixeira faces a sentence that can range from 11 months to roughly 16 years. That is a big range, bro. 11 months, just under a year to 16 years, which could mark one of the strictest sentences in history for such a crime under this plea deal. While his sentencing is due later this year, the airman also faces potential court-martial from the Air Force. Oh, so he's still not done getting fucked. In 2022,
like, I'm gonna get mine.
I'm gonna get mine, bro. In 2022, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Burcham, a retired Air Force intel officer, took a plea deal with the federal prosecutors and admitted to possessing a thumb drive with 135 documents containing classified national defense information, including the National Security Agency's collection methods on targets.
I wonder if what happened there is he just had the thumb drive, right? And was just forgot about it, found it, and was like, what the fuck's on this? Plugs it into his computer, and a fucking little alarm goes off. Fucking daddy government was like, why is this on a civilian computer? What the fuck?
Yeah, probably.
You know they watch our shit.
Oh,
like
100%. I always yell it. I always say, fuck you, Fed boy, to my phone. Always. Let's see. And the last one says, last month, Navy Chief Petty Officer Bryce Petticini was sentenced to 18 years in prison after being accused of delivering classified information to someone involved in a foreign government. This was selling secrets to China, I think.
that one makes sense.
Yeah, the other one's kind of like the Jack Teixeira thing was like, that one was funny because he was basically like on a Discord argument because he was saying, I know what's really going on in Ukraine. I'll prove it. If you can't prove it, you're a cuck. And then he's like, here's all the fucking classified information. And then you fucking moron.
Fucking idiot.
And then like you got this dude providing classified information. He was like basically trying to impress some pussy. I don't really understand. I honestly think that this article about this guy had to do with like he was probably just trying to share information with somebody, like to basically like, oh yeah, this is like what this is how that worked, like thinking that it was all old information. And come to find out it's not. And then this dude with a thumb drive was no one really knows what he was doing with it. It just says he was in possession of it.
He probably just had the thumb drive, got out, forgot he fucking had it. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where it's like it was his own personal thing.
Well, hang on,
was on it.
There's an article on it.
Is there?
Yeah. Hang on. So it says retired Air Force intelligence officer accepted a plea deal with federal prosecutors admitting to illegally possessing hundreds of top secret and classified documents. So his career stretched from 86 to 2018, worked various jobs in intelligence, and served as the chief of combat intelligence for a certain Air Force group, according to his court documents. Prior to his retirement, he also worked with classified intelligence information at Joint Special Operations Command. So he worked at JSOC.
Oh, so he's got information.
He's got fucking dirt.
He's got shit nobody knows about on that motherfucker.
Yeah. So, but on January 2017, this year before his retirement, the Air Force Office of Special Investigations received information that he had been storing classified information on a thumb drive at his home. The plea deal details. Investigators have raided his home that same day, seizing the thumb drive, a computer, a hard drive, and numerous paper documents. The revelation about the plea deal comes amid intense public interest handling the sensitive information, and federal investigators probe President Joe Biden, former President Donald Trump, and former Vice President Mike Pence's possession of classified material. So let's see. I'm trying to figure out what the intent was of why he had this. Let's see. We are looking forward to showing a complete picture of his 30-year career, and we're mindful of other cases of national attention we plan. So Bertram pled guilty on one count of willful retention of national defense information, in which he carry a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. So in total, 135 documents containing classified national defense information were found on his thumb drive. So several days before the raid, he said his personal Lamega hard drive that the defendant had possessed outside of SCIF and his temporary quarters overseas found 117 additional files containing classified information. Look, what was his intent?
So it just sounds like he was loading. I'm willing to bet what happened is this dude just made a fucky wucky and was just like, I need to put this stuff somewhere on a hard drive, put it on his personal shit. Like, it just doesn't sound like there's any malice involved with it.
That's
he just
hard to
was
say.
Always around sensitive information and just fucked up.
It really is hard to say because I'm like, okay, well, why did he have this shit? He had all this stuff, but why? You know, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, it said too he was with JSOC and involved in their intelligence and everything like that. Like, I just feel like he just did something stupid and put it on the wrong thumb drive. Or just thought, fuck it. You know, I'm around this shit all the time. I'm trusted. I'm a lieutenant colonel.
But he backed it all up in his personal computer at home. And,
that's true.
And in the home and to properties overseas.
Again, maybe he was just, properties overseas.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that Mr. Man over here was going to sell. He was going to sell information.
He's like, I can make some money. Okay. At first, I was like, maybe he wanted to be Mr. Cool Guy and have this when it gets declassified. He's like, look at these original documents. But overseas housing?
Get on Joe Rogan. Fucking talk about secrets on Joe Rogan's podcast. Or maybe even on the Barracks Party. Hey, if you got classified information, do not contact us to talk about it.
Yeah.
I will not participate in fucking espionage, buddy.
We should get involved in like crime stories or whatever and start probing military prisons like Leavenworth and just be like, hey, can we interview this guy? I really just want to fucking know what the fuck he was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, there is a guy on TikTok where he was charged with fucking war crimes for executing a Taliban commander while he was in custody. Page. You follow? You know exactly what I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about. Because
they said that they were gonna set the dude free to kind of like use him as like an intel probe. And he was like, this dude killed a lot of our guys. I'm gonna murder him.
I don't blame him.
And he owns it too. He's like,
yeah, no, I killed that dude. I don't give a fuck.
It's just unfortunate because he will not have any VA benefits because of what he did.
Mm-hmm. Before we move into this next one, I'm gonna go piss real quick.
You go take a piss real quick. Regiment in this podcast is also partnered with BR Paradox. BR Paradox is a company that specializes in custom-built PCs. So if you have an idea for a cool custom-built PC, they can definitely give you the hookup on that. But if you're not in the market for custom PCs, BR Paradox has a wide array of pre-built PCs that you could choose from at great prices. And if you're not in the market right now for a new PC, BR Paradox will definitely hook you up with an optimization. Optimizations take around 10-15 minutes to do, and they're very awesome. I highly recommend them. I had my PC optimized by them, and it's never run smoother since. BR Paradox also has a list of renowned customers ranging from LeBron James, Chris Brown, members of FaZe Clan, and even Angela White from your favorite orange and black site, if you know what I mean. So head on over to brparadox.com to get yourself a PC today or an optimization. And remember to use promo code Regiment at checkout. That's promo code Regiment down here at checkout.
Speaking of that dude, by the way, that killed the Taliban officer.
What?
That dude, the TikTok that killed the Taliban officer.
What about him?
He's got a bunch of videos talking about the dude that he like went off and murdered a bunch of people. They made a movie about him and his unit. I can't remember, like Killing Squad or something like that. But like he went to Afghanistan. He convinced his squad to fucking execute Afghans and shit, and like just random fucking people, and they would just execute people. He's at Leavenworth right now for life after doing all that shit. But he was like, nah, I'm like, me and him became very good buddies in prison. And he's like the nicest fucking dude I've ever met. And he was like, you got to think too, like this dude, I think it was like his 4th push into Afghan and shit like that. And he's always talking about like mental health. And he's like, the dude just cracked. He would have never done that, but he cracked because he just got forced to go in there a 4th time and this, that, and the 3rd or whatever. And yeah, it's interesting hearing that perspective. Granted,
kind of shit just basically highlights one of the key issues is that the military does not take mental health seriously enough.
No,
because you have these guys, and on top of that, like that dude we were talking about before, the one that killed that commander, he said to many people before he did it that he was going to do it. Yeah. He told his squad leader, he told a lot of people that, and not a single one of them fucking reported it or did anything to make sure that it didn't happen. Why is my chair squeaking like that?
He made a video about what happened whenever he called it up on the radio. So he beat the that guy to death, and then went on the radio right after.
Shot him.
And did he shoot him?
He said he shot him.
Because I'm pretty sure he beat him to death with his rifle. I don't think he shot him, because in his description of it, he was like, I was covered in blood, my rifle was broken, like the buttstock was fucking broken. I think he beat him to death.
Did he beat him to death? I thought he shot him.
Yeah.
I swear
he might have also shot him. He might have beat him to death and then shot him.
He might have
shot him and then beat him to death.
He probably beat him and then shot him.
But he did it and then immediately got on the radio and like reported that, hey, enemy down kind of deal. And the guy that was on duty that day on the radio, like knew what happened. Cause like you said, he told everybody, and he was like, oh man, about fucking time someone
killed that motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. And then they came in and arrested him. But he was like, after he did it, he knew he was going to prison. So he like put his rifle down and just fucking like, arrest me. I don't care. Fuck this guy.
Honestly, I hate the fact that we will charge people for doing the thing that we sent them there to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was that one fucking Navy SEAL who was charged for like knifing a fucking ISIS fighter. What was his name?
Really?
He was a Navy SEAL. Navy SEAL. Hang on, what was his name? And he was falsely charged because they said that the fucking ISIS fighter was in custody and that he murdered him, and then he got charged with fucking war crimes for it. And then he ended up getting a pardon from Trump. Trump pardoned him.
I think I remember this now.
They got Navy SEAL charged with war crimes. Eddie Gallagher.
Yeah, I remember that.
Eddie Gallagher. And then the thing was, so like basically he was saying that is not what happened. The guy wasn't in custody. It was kind of like a close quarters fight, and he ended up stabbing the dude to death. And he got charged with war crimes for it. He even went to who's that one Navy SEAL politician that's got the one eye?
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Hang on. Fucking, why do I forget people's names like this? Navy SEAL politician.
One eye.
Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah.
He was saying, well, Dan Crenshaw's like, he's one of us. He'll help me. And Dan Crenshaw's like, yeah, man, I'll take care of you. And he ended up fucking just throwing him under the bus. and did nothing to help him, ignored him and stuff. And then Eddie Gallagher even talked about like how he was betrayed basically by Dan Crenshaw, and for political gain let Eddie Gallagher fucking go to prison. And
Politics will fuck.
You'll find very quick that like a lot of fucking SOCOM guys hate Dan Crenshaw. You'll find a lot of SOCOM guys hate a lot of the popular SF people. Tim Kennedy's another one. A lot of SF dudes fucking cannot stand him. What's his name? Nick Irving. He's the Reaper, the Ranger.
Yeah, black guy.
Everybody hates him too.
I know who you're talking about. I love his content and his stories though. He's such a good way of telling his stories and shit.
From my SF buddies, all say most of his stories are bullshit.
Really?
Yeah. The SF community cannot stand him either. They're like, he's such a fucking loser.
Well, I feel like that's a big thing within the SF community is like, I'm getting this from Mr. Ballin.
Yeah.
He talked about like when he got out, he wanted to start doing social media, and the first thing he did was he talked about his time with the SEALs and everything like that. And he got under flack by dudes he was in the teams with, and they were like, "Fuck you." Like, no, you don't fucking do that. And the whole thing about it is like, we're doing all this shit in the dark and under wraps to not be talked about. Why the fuck are you getting out and then exploiting that to make money? They're like, we did a bunch of horrendous crazy shit. Like, you know what I mean?
That's
I say horrendous.
That's one of the big things of why they don't like that shit, is because it's like you're coming out and making a platform out of it. Like all this shit that we did, the shit that we had to do, the shit that we did that's not really supposed to be. It's spooky shit. When it's not supposed to be talked about, they call them quiet professionals for a fucking reason, and you're out here trying to capitalize on it. That's one reason. Tim Kennedy isn't really well liked, mostly because of how he became part of the groups. So he was an SF baby. He enlisted with an 18 X-ray contract, which is like there was a program going on, and this was even going on when I went in, was that you could join with a special forces slot.
I remember Army recruiters trying to get me.
I tried it, and my GT score was too low to do it. And they call them SF babies. So basically what it is, you go to basic training, AIT, selection, Q course group. Like, you don't ever have any real time in the Army. So after basic training and after AIT, which is your job, you get sent straight to fucking selection. And if you pass selection, you immediately go through the Q course, which is 2 years long of schools. And then after that, if you get selected, that's how you earn your Green Beret and long tab. After the Q course, you could pass selection and still not be a fucking Green Beret or get a long tab. Selection means, all right, we'll pick you to send you to the schools. So like, selection is the first step to get you to go through the Q course, and you have to pass the Q course in order to get your long tab. And once you pass that Q course and they select you after the Q course, because you could pass the Q course and they still won't pick you. They'll fucking be like, you're on your way. Good luck in the infantry. Like, you can still go through the Q course and not make it. But those that do go through the Q course, and at the time, SF was going through a massive shortage because they were losing guys a lot. So they picked him, and he went straight to a group, and he was like, oh, I know shit. And then they're like, you don't know fucking anything. And basically, he started off his career as an SF baby. And he even admits that he spent majority of his career acting like he knew what he was fucking doing, even though he was basically a cherry who, even though he had several deployments, he had no real leadership experience. So anyway,
let's be honest, just really quick caveat to what you said. Like, when you get there and you're a new guy, even in like the grunts, you get done with fucking ITV and shit, and you get to your unit and you're like, I know how to do this shit. I'm here now, motherfucker. Like, I feel like that's anyone. I feel like that's most people get there and they're just so proud of it because it was only ever a dream and something you saw on movies, TV, and recruiting ads and shit like that. And you get there and you're like, I'm fucking here. I made it. When in all reality, it's like, you got a lot of work to do before you made it, brother. And even then, you don't ever really make it. You're always someone's boot. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Until you get a good few years under your fucking belt and seasoned and stuff and experience. It usually is like 5 years. Typically, like they look down upon you until you do that second enlistment. That second enlistment means like, all right, you're committed to the cause. Like now we can treat you differently. So like most people are like, yeah, I got a few years under my belt. It's like, did you do one enlistment? Did you do your one and done, or did you re-up and fucking to keep going? And often the ones that re-up to keep going get treated differently than the one and dones.
Oh, 100%. Because like you said, you've got the commitment there versus, you know.
I totally planned on making it a career. I really did. And then I saw that the war was over with. I saw the direction that everything was going to what it is now. And I didn't want to stay in because of it. I was like, dude, this is not what I wanted to fucking do at all. So I did my one and done.
I remember we got told when it was time for a lot of us to like get out and shit. And there was right at the turn of getting out, there was like this false promise of another war.
Yeah, you told me about this.
And like a lot of us were very, very excited at it, you know, ignorantly excited. Let me say that. Ignorantly excited at the prospect of getting involved in another war and having our own, you know, fucking war stories and shit like that. Tales of heroics. But we got told there were some of the senior, you know, all combat vets. They were like, listen, if you want to stay in to be a Marine, fucking stay in. They were like, if any of you, if your reason for staying in is to maybe get involved in a war, get the fuck out, because this is going to probably be a false promise. And even if there is another war, it doesn't mean you're fucking going. You will lose all motivation. You will not want to be here for your second contract. Get the fuck out. And we're like, all right, yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting out, what?
I was going to say, too, I think that might have also been a little bit, you know, with them having combat experience, being like, if this is the reason you want to stay, I highly implore you to never, ever have to see any of this fucking shit. Save yourself.
Yeah, that too.
Like, honestly.
That too. Speaking of bad retention, Navy lowers physical standards for sailors. The Navy has introduced a controversial new policy that changes how fitness assessment failures are handled. Previously, sailors who failed 2 consecutive fitness assessments would face automatic career termination. However, this is no longer the case. Bunch of fatties running around on boats. Under the old guidelines, failing the one physical fitness assessment known in the Navy as the PFA meant sailors couldn't be promoted until they passed another test, but their careers would still continue. A second consecutive failure, however, meant that the end of their career was due to the inability to be promoted or re-enlist. With the new policy, commanding officers now have the authority to decide on career-ending actions rather than enforcing a mandatory fleet-wide rule. And you know what? I guarantee you, before I read further, this is because of retention issues. Guarantee you it's because of retention issues.
It's all retention issues.
Continuing on.
Anytime something good happens, it's because retention's down.
Any time something like this happens where they make a fucking exception is because of retention issues. So let's continue.
Yep.
This change was communicated in an administrative message sent out Tuesday. Vice Admiral Rick Cheeseman, what name, the Chief of Naval Personnel, stated in the message that the commanding officers can now assess sailors' progress in physical fitness. This change allows them to manage risks better and acknowledge sincere efforts. The new policy also means that the failed PFA won't automatically be recorded on a sailor's annual evaluation. However, sailors will still lose their eligibility for advancement until they pass another fitness test. This helps sailors remain competitive for various programs despite an initial failure. For enlisted sailors, the second consecutive PFA failure will no longer result in the lowest possible score in the military bearing professionalism category or automatic denial of reenlistment. According to military.com, decisions on retention will now be left to the discretion of the commanding officer, who should consider the sailors' overall contribution to the Navy missions, their qualification for continued service, and their potential to meet PFA standards within the next 12 months. This policy adjustment is part of the Navy's broader effort to modernize its leadership and service culture. The goal is to acknowledge the Navy's diverse population, build trust among sailors, and improve the quality of service. In recent years, the Navy has made several changes to the fitness test. In February, they reset the count of PFA failures, allowing up to 1,500 sailors to remain in service. Last November, they eliminated postpartum PFA requirement for new mothers, which was typically taken less than a year after childbirth. Since COVID, the Navy also continued to practice conducting only 1 PFA per year instead of 2. a trend that will persist through 2025. Critics have argued this changes indicate the Navy is lowering its standards in response to recruitment challenges and increasingly overweight population. However, data from Vice Admiral Cheeseman office shows that the number of sailors failing PFAs remains low. In 2017, 98% of sailors passed their tests. Following the pandemic in 2022, 95.1% of sailors passed the fitness assessment. So it is lower. Some changes, like conducting only one PFA per year, were made in the request of the fleet commander. So yes, this is fucking definitely because people are getting out. We can't keep people in, and because people aren't staying in. One of the biggest things that we have to do to kind of cut losing people is by not separating them. Find ways
letting
to not
fat bodies stay.
Letting certain people stay, because we're losing people left and right because they're not staying in. Mm-hmm. And we're separating too many people, so let's stop separating people for things. That's really what this boils down to. Retention issues. It's a numbers game.
This does remind me, though, when I was on ship one time, we were doing a NATO exercise for a few months. So we were tied to the ship. We get on there. After being on there for a couple weeks, the captain of the ship comes on, and he's like, doing his little, all right, here's what's going on, this, that, third update to everybody. And he goes, oh, by the way, to all my sailors, he goes, I've seen the Marines actually using our multitude of gyms aboard this ship. It'd be great if I saw any of you in there as well. All right, have a good day. And fucking hangs up.
Hey, you fat fucks, go to the gym. Stop letting the Marines be the only ones that use this. We got these on the boats for you. You fucking fatties, you fat fucks. I say this as if I'm like, what's funny? My wife was actually teetering with the idea of enlisting into the Air Force.
Really?
She was like, I was like, just as a joke, I'm like, what would you think if I re-upped? And she's just like, it's funny you say that, because I was actually thinking about, and researching about joining. I'm like, no shit. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I will tell you right now, if you do decide to do this, Air Force. And she's like, yeah, I was looking in the Air National Guard. I was like, okay. But the only reason why she won't is because she doesn't think that she can, because she can't go through boot camp. She's like, I need my eczema medication. I need these other medications and stuff. Like, I don't want to be without them for like a month and a half.
You can, nowadays, if you have a medication that you need, they will give you your medication when you need it. You just have to turn it in.
I told her that. Instructor. Well, I told her, like, because it's eczema, so the eczema, and she's been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Like, she takes anxiety medication and stuff. So, certain things they might not let her in for. But almost everything is waiverable, especially now.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially now. They'll take what they can get. Oh, yeah. Air Force is pretty tough to get into. They're very picky about what they take. But and on top of that, she's got a bachelor's degree. I told her, I'm like, you have a bachelor's degree. You can fucking totally pursue a commission and go in as an officer.
And then you can be a dependa. And then you can just do this kind of shit. Like, you run nothing.
I was joking. I was like, how funny would that be if you did that and I ended up being a dependa? Like it's awesome. Like, this would be the first time I'd be like, wow, I get to experience the other side of the fence here.
You should convince her. You should convince her and become a dependa.
Just to be a dependa. I could get on base again. I could get on base again. Blah blah blah.
Oh man! Wait, holy shit! Do you have VA medical?
Yeah, my VA.
Yeah, you
ID?
can get on base
with my VA ID.
It's a medical ID. You can apply for it online. I need to do it, but if you have a disability percentage and you use their like insurance or whatever, like do all your medical through the VA, you just get a card that says service connected on it, and they let you on base.
I think I actually have that. The VA took a picture. It's my VA ID where I scan in for all my appointments and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you can use that. I need to get mine because my sister's like, oh, there's a concert on base tonight for free. We should go. And I was like, I don't have any identification that can get me on base. And I looked into it. I was like, oh fuck, I qualify to get on base.
I still have my cat card.
I do too.
They're supposed to take that away from you, and they didn't take mine away. I wasn't. Then
they
again,
didn't
I was
take mine either.
National Guard, dude. Going through MEPS the second time around after you've already been in is weird.
I remember you telling me about the guy that was like, "Oh, I'm a Marine."
Yeah,
Like, shut the fuck up.
That was actually on the episode we lost. So like there was a fucking.
Oh yeah.
So like now that like because now you guys can all hear about it. When I joined the National Guard, I went from active duty to National Guard, but I was out for like a year almost. So when I went back in, I had to go through MEPS all over again. And going through MEPS when you are a vet is way better than the first time you go through. But it's also very frustrating because you get to see all the fucking new people that haven't even left yet acting like that they've been there already. Like we have one guy who was he was joining the Marines. We were waiting to swear in. We hadn't even sworn in yet. And the dude's calling himself a fucking Marine. And I was like, you're not a fucking Marine. He was like all like trying to be a cocky dude and trying to flirt with all the females and stuff. And I straight up told him, like, people like you don't make it. Like, until you get that Eagle Globe and Anchor, you ain't a fucking Marine. Said, you haven't even started yet. You haven't even gotten off the bus yet. You're not a fucking Marine. Once you finish boot camp and get that Eagle Globe and Anchor, you are not a Marine. So stop telling people you're a fucking Marine. God, and it hits different when it's a fucking actual service member that's telling you this, and you haven't even gotten in there. I straight up told him my fucking socks had more time in than you. Like fucking slow your roll, kid.
You have a boot band you put on for 2 hours and it fell off and you lost it. That thing's got more time in service than you did.
I know. So it's like I'm like, you hadn't sworn in yet. You aren't there yet. You haven't fucking done shit. You are not a Marine. So stop calling yourself a fucking Marine, Poolie. I don't even think he was a Poolie either.
I remember after I swore in, my mom would be like, "My little Marine," and I was like, "You stop that! You don't ever say that.
Don't you say that?
You're not going to get me yelled at. You stop it."
Don't you ever call me that. I don't even remember who I called when I first got the basic. I know they make you do that one phone call. We didn't do it on payphones though. We did it on our cell phone.
I did it on the little payphone thing, and I told myself, I was like, even if nobody answers, because they're like, someone has to answer. But I told my parents, I was like, tonight, be next to the phone, don't miss the phone call. But I was like, if they miss this phone call, I'm letting it go to voicemail. I'm screaming it, and I'm getting to wherever the fuck I need to go, because I'm not gonna be the one stuck here dialing fucking numbers to get in contact with someone.
Really? Like they wouldn't let you just leave the voicemail?
They were like, you will hear someone speak to you, and then you will shout this, and then you will hang up to like verify that someone knows
with all
where
the
the fuck you are.
TikToks I see of people like showing their voicemails of these?
Well, because they tell you that, and then people are like, "I'm not standing here. I'm just gonna scream it at the voicemail. I don't care."
And how
no one's monitoring it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how are they gonna know? This isn't like the fucking Department of Corrections where they're listening on your phone calls and shit.
Exactly.
Speaking of people listening in on you, free speech isn't free, kids. So the Air Force free speech is not allowed on federal installations. Edwards Air Force Base, before engaging in political discussions in the workplace, proceed with caution. Though not prohibited, even though they're going to tell you it is, political discussions in the workplace can be disruptive, discourteous, and or detract from the mission accomplishment. Federal installations and workplaces are not traditional public forums of free speech, and political discussions are generally not appropriate. Under our democratic system, the military as a group must remain politically neutral and divorced from partisan politics. Airmen as individuals enjoy the same rights and have the same responsibilities as other citizens. However, the way they exercise their rights is limited in some cases. That's not true, because I even said that when I was in, they tell you, your command tells you, you are not like covered under the Constitution. You have no rights protected. Yeah. Your rights. You have no rights protected by the Constitution. And I'm like, so why am I defending it? you know,
the only right that you have is like denying an unlawful order, and even then, you might get told, "Hey, fuck you, I'll make your life hard."
No, and a lot of people don't realize that, because when a lot of people like speculate that there will be a war, our own troops would turn on us. And I said, you do know that is, you can disobey a direct order, even if it's immoral, illogical, or illegal. And they don't realize that. And
you definitely can.
And you know who told me that? My fucking platoon sergeant.
Mhm.
You know, and that's how you know I had some pretty good NCOs. But like you had, and like I straight up told one of my lieutenants, because I said, would you actually like take up arms against your own people? And he said, yeah, I mean, we're under orders. Then yeah. I'm like, you do know you can disobey that order. He's like, no, you can. I said, sir, you can disobey a direct order if it's immoral, illogical, or illegal. And I can tell you right now, I said, so you would go to your hometown where your dad lives and shit and start fucking killing his friends and your friends if your government told you to? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I can promise you right now, sir, you will not live long. Your own guys will kill you.
You won't live. Either you won't live long, because like you said, your guys will turn on you, or fucking, most armed populace in the world, they'll do something about it. Or B, you're gonna morally realize what the fuck you did later, and it's gonna eat you.
People will say yes until it's like, hey, guess what? You're rolling in your hometown. Where your family is.
I could never do that around here. Like, I know motherfuckers around here.
Yeah.
I could fucking fuck no.
Imagine like how like Fallujah looked, right? Imagine like putting your parents through that, and they're the civilians this time. They're the people caught in the crossfire. Your family, your friends are the ones caught in a crossfire. You know, I don't know a single fucking person that would be willing to fly their aircraft, drop bombs in their own cities, knowing that they're killing U.S. citizens, the people they swore to protect. No one, 99% of service members would never do that. And that's what people don't realize. You can disobey these orders.
It would take some wild, and it would take a lot of time to turn the hearts and minds, if you will, of service members on their own people. It'd take a lot of propaganda.
Not
for
even
you to think
honestly,
like my neighbor's a fucking threat. You know what I mean?
The only way that could actually happen is if we got invaded by a foreign government and they were occupying a city and having our own people fight against us. It would have to take something like that. Anyway, we're kind of squirreling off here. So let's see. Airmen have the right as an American citizen to vote and to voice their opinions concerning political matters, but they must be careful as that their personal opinions and activities are not directly or by implication represented as those of the Department of Air Force. Airmen may not attempt to influence the view, position, or vote of any subordinate except to generally encourage participation in the voting process. In addition, commission officers shall not use contemptuous words against the president and the vice president, Congress, Secretary of Defense, and other high-ranking government officials as prohibited by the UCMJ. So basically, this said officers. Didn't say anybody else. Commissioned officers cannot. But you Joes, you lower enlisted and you NCOs, you could totally do it. It's kind of, I find that kind of funny where like the Joes and the NCOs can talk shit about their superiors all they fucking want, but officers can't. Because they do that anyway. You know? Yeah. Like, I can't tell you how many times fucking NCOs like, that fucking lieutenant is a fucking retard. Like, you know, everybody talks shit about the lieutenant. And and it's okay. But the lieutenant can't talk shit about the commander.
Yeah.
You can talk shit about the commander, but LT can't. I love that so much. I've actually seen officers get smoked by a battalion commander.
I've seen that one time before as well. They rolled in all of the officers, and I remember it. He fucking took them on a PT, and we knew what it meant because there was a big fuck up that happened. Can't remember what the fuck up was, but I know it was big and it was on all the officers. The battalion commander took all the officers and was like, "I'm going to smoke check all of you."
Like our battalion commander took all of the officers that were fucking. It was literally captain and below. And he had the captains watch, and all the lieutenants got fucked. Actually, no, the captains did too. Had them in the motor pool in full battle rattle, low crawling on the asphalt, fucking them up. And and you know why? It was because the battalion footprint wasn't up to par. That's all it was, dude. It was the dumbest fucking shit ever. They didn't get it done in time. A lot of disorganization, like throughout, like, you know, but then again, information wasn't getting passed properly. So everyone had a different fucking, like we're told different things and things weren't done within a timely manner or an organized way. So and I think it started off where one officer was blaming the lower and the like all the fucking enlisted for it. So the BC took it upon himself to bring all the fucking officers into the motor pool and proceed to blast them all. It was great. And
Awesome. That's one of the best things to watch.
even though I hated our fucking battalion commander because he was a fucking idiot and he was kind of a shithead, but that was probably the only thing he ever did that I thought was great. He also got a general order reprimand for making a lieutenant drink his own dip spit. So
Fuck.
yeah, he's like, "You're dipping in my office. Like, guess what? Open that bottle and take a big swig, drink it." And he was just like, "What?" Anyway, so the Hatch Act prohibits civilian employees from engaging in political activity while on duty, including during telework or while federal workplace. The Hatch Act regulations define political activity as activity directed towards the success or failure of a political party, partisan political group, or candidate for partisan political office. The Hatch Act does not prohibit employees from engaging in an issue-based advocacy, such as activity in relation to an issue not specifically identified with a political party or partisan political group. For example, speaking about the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas is not political activity unless that speech also suggests domestic electoral actions or shows support for or opposition to domestic political parties, partisan political groups, or candidates for partisan political office. Maintaining a productive work environment in which management and employees comply with standards of conduct and responsibilities is essential to the effective functioning of the DAF and accomplishments of its national security mission. Supervisors are expected to treat employees with respect and consideration and create a work environment free of harassment. Employees are expected to treat individuals with respect. Okay, what does that matter? Service as airmen, both military and civilian, in the United States Air Force is an honor and a privilege. It often requires significant sacrifices, which is rewarded by the high esteem, respect, and trust of which American public records our service. What does this have to do with politics? All airmen have a sacred duty to preserve and protect its critical position within our society. Behavior and departs from those standards not only degrades public trust in the Air Force, but also puts mission accomplishment at risk. As we approach the election, please keep these standards in mind before engaging in any political discussions in the workplace, such as discussions that can affect morale and mission accomplishment. You know, I got to tell you right now, our government's doing a very good job at fucking with that as it is. You know, it's like, you can, how do you not? And it's tough because the 2016 election was approaching when I was getting out. And because I got out of active duty in 2016. So, like, the candidates, when like, I watched the whole campaign happen, and everyone was like, Trump's not going to fucking, no one's going to elect him. And then, but it was also like, oh, fuck, Hillary's on the ballot too. This sucks. So then it became those two. And all of us in the office were like, what in the fuck do we do now? You know, it was like, it was a very like middle ground conversation. None of us were taking sides. We hated them all. We hated the one that the only thing they were saying, you can't talk about the president while you're in. It's like, bullshit, you can't. You can't, sir. I can.
I remember, that's funny. You were getting out right when I was getting in. I was in ITB right when the election results came in. We were in the field and fucking doing a range or whatever. We're sleeping, going to bed. We all knew that, like, results were coming in. And we got woke up like fucking like 2, 3 in the morning or whatever. Combat instructor comes out and he goes, all right, everybody wake up. I'm like, oh, fuck, already? Shit. We just went to bed. And he goes, no, don't get out of your fucking sleep system. Poke your head out. Okay, this is fucking weird. So we all poke our heads out. And he goes, we're going to make America great again. And then, like, the entire platoon, it just fucking everybody just hyped up, went back to bed.
That's funny.
And my buddy at the time, he was like big on Trump. He goes back to sleep. He's all stoked. We wake up in the morning and he goes, hey man, like, what's up? He goes, was I dreaming last night? I'm like, maybe. Like, what are you talking about? And he goes, did Trump win? And I'm like, yeah, no, he came through and told us. And I was like, you got very excited. And he goes, I thought I fucking dreamt that. Holy shit. And he was like ecstatic for the rest of the day.
Dude,
it was funny.
The midterm election with Obama, I was in during that, and I was in basic training. We all got to vote for that one. Do you need a charge cable? My wife is watching a movie watching a show next to me, and her fucking headphones died, and you could just hear it. Anyway, speaking of like the Department of Defense doing weird shit, the DoD approves $87 million grant to send soldiers lab-grown meat. Yeah, right? I know. Welcome to the fucking military, babe. So the Department of Defense announced major giant Biomade. That's the name. A major grant to Biomade to produce synthetically produced lab-grown meat for its frontline soldiers. According to press release, the DoD is attempting to find sustainable and reliable bio-industrial manufacturing techniques. The grant provides a build-up funding for a substantial supply chain operation that could eventually see chicken, pork, or beef go by the wayside. Between the DoD grant and other funding sources, Biomade will receive close to $1 billion in funding to increase its manufacturing capacity. The U.S. Cattle Producers, a trade organization, condemned the decision, saying it's outrageous that the Department of Defense is spending millions of taxpayer dollars to feed our heroes like lab rats. Let me tell you something, cattle producers. We're lab rats. We're always fucking lab rats. If you haven't learned about that during COVID or anthrax, we are fucking lab rats. We're the guinea pigs of society. They give us shit to determine whether or not the people should get it too. Why do you think we have issues? Anyway, neither Biomade nor the Department of Defense stated when soldiers could start seeing and eating the lab-grown meat. That's literally it. So basically, people are like saying, well, why the fuck would they do this? I'll tell you why. The military and the Department of Defense loves giving money to the lowest bidder. When it comes to food production or food supply, meat is expensive as fuck. So the Department of Defense is like, hey, I heard that they're growing meat in a lab. Let's invest in that because it's probably going to be the cheaper alternative. And we can get a lot of it. Okay, so we're going to make this fucking meat products, and it's going to be like flavored to make it seem like it's chicken or pork or beef. It's not actually going to be that. It's just like going to be a nothing burger that just tastes like something. And it's pumped full of fucking, that's the other thing. These kind of things are pumped full of like artificial nutrients where you're just basically eating like a nutrient bar that somebody produced and cooked together in a lab.
Yeah, it's gross. People are going to get sick later down the road with whatever fucking diseases that are going to be developed out of it.
I honestly think there's going to be like autoimmune diseases, cancers, all kinds of weird shit that's going to stem from this. Because
100%.
If it's made in a lab, it's not fucking good for you. If like human beings as omnivores, we're made to eat things that are natural, right? If you look at the obesity epidemic, if you look at like cancers, if you look at diseases, all of it stems from the way that we make our food and the shit that we pump our food full of. All this artificial stuff, these chemicals, these fake nutrients to like make something that's not supposed to be nutrient rich actually have these nutrients that your body needs to not die. That's not how we're made to fucking eat. I say this as I literally eat bullshit all the fucking time.
Same.
You know, but the thing is with these chemicals, they're addictive, right? Right. So like all these like artificial things, like they taste good, and we like things that taste good, but we don't like things that are good for us. And as a result, like you get these fucking gastrointestinal issues, diseases, and all that stuff. And it's just like this can't be good for us. This can't be good for people. And you're gonna see it if this rolls out. You're gonna see it.
How long before the human race just evolves to being able to like not have any problems with any of this shit we pump our food with?
Fucking never, honestly, because
it would take forever. But again, like you said, I think we would see the human race die before, you know, our bodies could evolve.
Well, you can't really evolve because these things that they're using are ever changing, so you can't really adapt to it.
That's true.
So if it's a new thing that stays the same, you can adapt to it. But it's a new thing that changes constantly. You can't adapt to that.
It's true.
So it's you know, like it'll never happen. The only adaptation that adaptation that we've been seeing with people when it comes to like getting used to these things is like the rejection. Like more and more people as you know, as they have kids and stuff and their kids, you're starting to see the change of things, right? The types of food that we're eating are the same as they were years ago. It's what they're using in them now that's making the change. So I don't know. I feel like the FDA, they seem to be cool with things that are bad for you and against things that are good for you, which is weird to me. But yeah. Yep. So on to our last topic, which is like the big one that we started off talking about. Fucking Mr. Disrespect. Dr. Disrespect and the things that have been happening with that guy. He's had a bad week, bro. He's had a bad week.
Deservedly,
yes. Deservedly so. So we're going to start it from the top. So there was an ex-Twitch employee who made an allegation about him DMing with a minor, and he kind of dismissed it in a weird way. Dr. Disrespect dismisses ex-Twitch employee's allegation that he was banned over DMs with a minor. I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong. All this has been probed and settled. The streamer says he won't comment further on the allegation, which we'll find out the next day wasn't true, and take a vacation from streaming. Guy Beam, the streamer better known as Dr. Disrespect, says he didn't do anything wrong and that he isn't going to comment further on an allegation made by an ex-Twitch employee who claims that Beam's lifetime ban from Twitch was a consequence of sexual DMs with a minor. Beam was one of the biggest streamers on Twitch when he was suspended from the platform in June 2020, exactly 4 years ago. A reason for the ban was not provided. Twitch said only that it takes appropriate action when it has evidence that a streamer has acted in violation of our community guidelines and terms of service, and that at the time, even Beam claimed to not know why he'd been given the boot. He was eventually informed for the reasons, something he acknowledged a year later when he announced he's taking legal action against Twitch. That lawsuit was settled in 2022 when neither party would admit wrongdoing and still no indication of the reason of the ban. I remember this. We talked about this because we even said it's fucking weird that like the settlement happened and that we won't see anything out of it. And I don't really know why. And also it has remained until this past weekend when former Twitch employee Cody Connors tweeted he got banned because he was sexting a minor and then on the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that be could read in plain text. Case closed, gang. Connors didn't name Beam specifically, but it was widely understood that he was referring to Beam, an assumption that quickly picked up steam after streamer Jake Lucky tweeted about it, prompting a reply from Beam. Jake, seriously, Beam tweeted, I get it. It's hot topic, but it's been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged and they paid out the whole contract. That comment only led to more intense speculation, with many onlookers pointing out that no wrongdoing was acknowledged isn't a direct denial of the claim. The following day, Beam made a somewhat more specific statement. Listen, I'm obviously tied to legal obligation from the settlement with Twitch, but I just need to say what I can say since this is the fucking internet, he tweeted. I didn't do anything wrong, and this has all been probed and settled. Nothing illegal, no wrongdoing was found, and I was paid. A day later, The Verge reported that another former Twitch employee, a member of the company's trust and safety team at the time of the incident, had corroborated Connor's tweet, telling the site that Beam had used Twitch's Whispers messaging system to attempt to arrange a meeting with a minor at TwitchCon. During a live stream today, Beam indicated he won't be commenting further. For those that were looking for me to expand on this weekend, I'm not gonna, he said. I already said what I needed to say. I don't give a fuck about this guy. That's it. Connors had previously alluded to being aware of the reasons for Beam's Twitch ban in 2023. Lucky noted in a subsequent tweet that Connors had used the promise of possibly sharing that information to promote a series of concerts in 2023. Connors apologized for those tweets, but also noted that he has not been threatened with legal action over his allegations and implied that a screenshot proving his claim is now in circulation. The allegations also have prompted others to say that they've heard similar explanations for Beam's lifetime ban from Twitch. Former Washington Post journalist Nathan Grayson, for instance, tweeted, "It's not the first time I have heard basically this explanation, nor is it the second or third." He noted that all his sources are secondhand and were not in the room when it happened. So, with no firsthand account of the alleged incident, no admission of wrongdoing from Beam or acknowledging the situation from Twitch, I've reached out to the company for comment. The circumstances surrounding Dr. Disrespect's ban remain uncertain, but the allegation has led to consequences. Midnight Society, a game studio co-founded by Beam, has severed ties with the streamer and says that he may take an extended vacation from streaming. Then, more shit came out. Dr. Disrespect actually commented further on this, right?
Yes, he did.
So he basically admitted that, yeah, it was true, and here's how. So he said, let's cut the fucking bullshit. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I can be upfront about. I'm always willing to accept responsibility, which is why I'm here now. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to everyone in my community, as well as those close to me, my team, and everyone in Midnight Society. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society and we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. Our team is incredibly talented, and the good people that have high career ambitions and families, I'd never want to jeopardize the culture what we have carefully crafted. Everyone has been wanting to know why I was banned from Twitch. But for reasons outside of my control, I was not allowed to say anything for the last several years. Now that 2 former Twitch employees have publicly disclosed the accusations, I can now tell you my side of the story regarding the ban. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there any real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much into the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Weird.
Weird.
Nothing illegal happened. No pictures were shared. No crimes were committed. I never even met the individual. Now, though that could be true, no images were shared, which makes that a crime. No crime was technically committed, but that doesn't mean what he did was wrong, was right. I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and this case was resolved by a settlement, which often means that they just settled the case and, nothing was pushed farther. No one admitted any wrongdoing, which also means that someone was wrong. They just couldn't. It was a stalemate. Let me be clear. It was not a criminal case against me. No criminal charges ever been brought against me. Now, from a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. Correct. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. It should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll fucking own my shit. This was stupid. Now, with all this said, don't get it fucking mistaken. I've seen all the remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no fucking predator or pedophile. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me fucking knows where I stand on those things and with those types of people. Fuck that. That's a different level of disgust and I fucking hate even hearing about. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. But I think I've said what I need to say regarding the ban itself. That's it. That's why Twitch made the decision in 2020. To my team and community, industry friends that have supported me, I apologize. I wish I could have said all this sooner. You guys have always showed me and my family love and support throughout all these years. We love you guys and like you can't imagine. I have the fucking best community and circle. If any of this has made you uncomfortable, I get it. You don't have to support me anymore, but just know you always have been greatly appreciated. But trust me when I say this, to all my haters that live and breathe social media with zero real life experience, I don't give a fuck about you. Finally, if you're uncomfortable with this entire statement and think I'm a piece of shit, that's fine, but I'm not fucking going anywhere. I'm not the same guy that made that mistake all those years ago. I'm taking an extended vacation with my family mentioned on stream, and I'm coming back with heavy weight off my shoulders. They want me to disappear? Yeah, fucking right. What a weird way to end that, though. Take responsibility. I did it. It was wrong. Was it a little bit inappropriate? Yes. Should it have happened? No. But you know what? To all my haters, fuck you. I'm coming back. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Weird.
That last part didn't need to happen.
No, it was
just say you did it. Say that you were a fucking idiot and a moron, and then that's it. That's the end.
He was unnecessarily aggressive with it for no reason. Yeah. Like, it was just like he could have just let it be as it was. And would it be good or bad for him? Don't know. Honestly, teetering more towards the bad. But yeah, like
100%. But it's still like, all right, you admitted it. You did it. You did that. Like, and you very bad. Like, why? First of all, that's weird. You know, you were like 30 at the time, by the way.
37, 38, like, yeah.
Yeah, like, first of all, why are you doing that? Like, why would you ever entertain, even if you wanted to come out later and do the argument of like, well, you know, technically, age of consent. Like, no, fuck you, dude. You're almost 40 at the time. No.
And that's the other thing that I don't get about why people like entertain these conversations with minors. I don't like talking to people in their 20s most of the time, except for you. You're fine.
Yeah.
But for the most part, even like those that are like in their early 20s, like I have nothing to talk to them about. I can't relate to them with shit. None of that conversation will ever go anywhere. Now, even now under the age of 18, 19, 17, 18, 19, it's like, well, I really don't have anything to fucking say to you. Like,
exactly.
I have no business having a conversation with you unless you're a family member or like a child of a friend, you know? And it's like, and it's like, what are you doing talking to that person? You know?
Exactly.
You have no business, doing that.
Like,
and a lot of people have been talking about Dr. Disrespect's wife. And it's like, why would you ever cheat on her? I'm curious. Dr. Disrespect's wife.
Is he married to the same woman?
Yeah. He's even cheated on her before. No.
Yeah.
He's cheated on her once before. And she stayed with him.
I would have thought they got divorced.
Why the fuck did he cheat on her?
Let me look her up.
I'm gonna share this.
No, don't share it. You might fuck it up. I'm just Googling.
No, I'm not sharing it with you. I'm sharing it to the audience.
Oh, okay.
This is crazy. Well, hang on. These pictures are all really tiny.
Yeah, that's so weird.
It's Dr. Disrespect's wife. Let's see, Mrs. Assassin.
It's so weird.
Let me see. I'm trying to open some of these things. Dr. Disrespect's wife. She's a very attractive chick. What the fuck is he doing?
That fame, dude.
Dude, it's got to be something. It's like, come on, man. That'd be like me doing something like that with my wife. I have a hot wife. Everybody tells me that I have a hot wife. I know I have a hot wife. She's out of my league 100%. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like I'd be a moron if I, did anything like that.
Same.
It's
fucking
like,
it's I don't get it. But like to your point too about the talking, if I don't have anything to talk to you about, I don't have anything to talk to you about, right? Especially if you're like if you're sending me a DM and you don't have your own picture in it, I don't care how old you are. You could be 40. If you don't have your own picture in it and I don't know who you are, I'm not gonna respond to you. I don't know who you are. Like I said, unless it's like a fucking one of those stories or whatever.
And he's been married to her for 15 years.
I don't even talk to you about.
He was.
That's wild.
So he even cheated on his wife in the same year that he was talking to this minor. He was accused of cheating on his wife back in 2017. The info came in like December of that year. Beam eventually getting in front of the camera about without his costume and tearfully admitting to the infidelity. At the time, he said, I had been unfaithful. I was going to take some time off streaming to focus on my family. He said, I have a little bit of an announcement. I just want to completely transparent with you guys. As you guys know, I have a beautiful family and wife and a kid. and I want to be transparent. I've been unfaithful, and I'm probably going to be taking some time away to focus on stupid fucking mistakes, man. I'm going to take some time to focus on my family. I just want to let you guys know that I apologize to you guys, my sponsors and Twitch. This is not who I am. It's not what I represent. That's it. They are still married. So it's not connected to the messaging of the minor that happened recently that brought to light. It was a confirmed online content creator cheated with a 24-year-old woman and not someone underage. It's crazy. It's like he was like entertaining all kinds of women during this. Of all ages, apparently. It's just insane that he was doing this.
He probably did it once or twice and then just got fucking comfortable with it and like was just whatever. You know, I'll entertain any of it. All of it.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. So this Rolling Stone article talks about it. Apparently the Rolling Stone article goes in a little bit more depth about this. So I'm going to pass it past this tweet. So a former Twitch trust and safety employee who worked for the platform has been acknowledged that some of the matter confirmed. So a former Twitch trust and safety employee who worked on the platform at the time of Beam was banned has direct knowledge of the matter, confirmed in Rolling Stone that Beam continued to send sexually graphic messages to a minor he knew was underage. His former employee, who requested anonymity to avoid jeopardizing their career, also said that crucial elements of Beam's latest defensive tweet are inaccurate. I recall that Dr. Disrespect was made aware by the individual that they were underage during the conversation, after which he indicated that this was no problem and continued on. The former employee says, there was no confusion. Messages sent after this was acknowledged that there was no less graphic and sexually explicit nature than before, and I think more in categorization of leaning too much in the direction of inappropriate might indicate. So basically they're saying that the stuff was very inappropriate and it wasn't just leaning in the direction of being it. It was more than that. So the ex-Twitch employee also provided Rolling Stone more detailed account of internal conversations at Twitch following the report of Beam's messages. His subsequent ban, they say the details of Beam's case are coming out because Connor's explosive tweet last week. Cody definitely got the ball rolling. Me and many other former colleagues are only comfortable speaking about it now because of it. Our priority has always been the safety of the victim and keeping their identity secret. As some of the streamers faced a flood of sexual misconduct allegations in June 2020, Twitch created an incident response team codenamed Gold Sparrow to develop the process to investigate and take action on the reports as one unit. What? A flood of sexual misconduct allegations in June 2020? If it was so bad that they actually needed to create a fucking team for that shit, why did Twitch not do more? You know?
It's a good question. Like I said earlier, it makes Twitch kind of look bad too.
It does, because they were implicit on it. They didn't fucking do anything, and they sat on it for years. So it said when the initial report of his alleged inappropriate messages came through in 2020, an investigation began. After viewing the contents of the whisper conversation, it quickly became clear that the egregious of conduct and what actions Twitch must take, the former employee says. The decision to permanently terminate Beam was relatively quick due to the severity of the behavior. So they do not know if any investigation resulted from the report. Beam did not immediately respond and request a comment. So it said, Twitch can't and won't make the alleged messages public, the ex-employee said, as not only endangers the victim and the investigation by law enforcement. And what? Investigation by law enforcement. In 2021, Twitch Trust and Safety Team created OSIT, the investigation team for reports of off-site misconduct by creators. At the time was completely described as initiative as a direct response to allegations of sexual misconduct that surfaced across the gaming industry over the summer. And in assessing those allegations, the company said it realized that our current policy regarding off-service misconduct was not clear enough. Following his ban from Twitch and time away from the spotlight, he announced a return to streaming on YouTube in 2020. While he was free to use both platform and Facebook and gaming, neither offered him an exclusive partnership. His lack of streaming platform, blah. So he got. This is about him getting his YouTube thing. So the unfortunate part is there's so many rumors circulating in the industry. One, that a minor was involved, he said, but no one produced firsthand knowledge or evidence. Because of those rumors, there was no reason to entertain doing any deal with Beam, and no evidence produced means you can't act on terms of service violation. So let's see. Even today, I'm humbled by the experience. So yeah, like, why the fuck didn't they come forward with this like sooner?
when it happened.
I know. And there's even more of it that's going on. And it's like, okay, what the fuck? And then as a result, so Dr. Disrespect has lost his partnership with Turtle Beach. The 49ers have parted ways. Midnight Society is done. His YouTube channel is demonetized. His partnership has been terminated with YouTube. And that's what this Forbes article says right here. YouTube has chimed in. So YouTube has demonetized Dr. Disrespect's channel and any other channels he owns or creates in the future. We've suspended Dr. Disrespect's channel from the YouTube partner program following serious allegations against the creator, a YouTube spokesperson in a statement to the press. This action means the channel is no longer able to monetize on YouTube. So yeah, he is fucking done. He's done skis. You know,
he will never have
a professional career in like this ever again. And if he does try to roll one out, it'll end up having to be his own thing. You know, he'll have to go the Kick route, make his own thing. And people have been saying, like, telling Kick, don't let him be a partner on your platform. It'll look bad for you. And even they said that it's too early to tell whether or not they're going to give him a deal. If you're watching this, Kick, don't fucking give him a platform. You know, you guys are already like, you know, we love you guys, but you guys are already like kind of like in the spotlight for the wrong reasons because of other individuals. And it's not reflective of you as a platform, but it's more of like these people that are going into your platform are going to make the platform look bad. Don't let Dr. Disrespect come, because you are going to shatter any goodwill from anybody about the platform if you do. So it's
Kick had a lot of good, has had and still does have a lot of like really good promises for creators. It's just individual actions. Yeah, it just goes to show individual actions can hurt the unit.
See,
you know what I mean?
I see Kick actually taking action against those kinds of creators, but for some reason people like choose to ignore them. For some reason, saying, "Oh, Kick, what are you going to do about this?" And then Kick does something about it, and it's just like Kick doesn't ever do anything. It's like, but they did. They actually took action against this kind of shit, you know? So I don't get why people hate on Kick as much as they do. I mean, I know it's a new platform, and I guess it's just the types of people that go to Kick, you know? And, you know, I don't want to see, it's just crazy. Like, a lot of people are just in disbelief, including Nick Merckx and Tim the Tap Man. Their responses to it were just like, I can't believe it. Like, you know, we play games with the guy. We knew the guy. You know, it's just crazy that it's funny because the tone, usually it's like off with their fucking heads when it's someone you don't know personally. And then when it's someone really close to you, you don't know how to react. Because you're like, you know, the person that isn't, like, you know, the other side of that person, you know, they're like your best friend and shit. Like my case, my best friend, my former best friend, and I looked at him like family, was such a diabolical piece of shit. I'm surprised he never got charged. Because what he did was both illegal and immoral. He's my age. He's actually a year older than me, so he's 36. At the time, during 2020, when I cut ties with him, he was 32, 33. He had notoriously cheated on his wife. Even before I left for the Army, he was cheating on his wife. He would cheat on his wife with coworkers, for starters. He would cheat on his wife with friends of ours' girlfriends. And everyone's like, and he's like, he was constantly nonstop cheating on. He was like sleeping with all these women, right? And you would think, like, by me telling you this, that he's a good-looking guy. He's not. The dude is nasty, teeth rotten out, fucking out of shape, just an ugly motherfucker. Everyone calls him Shrek. He's just a goofy-looking fucking nasty guy. Smells. And they're like, how is he? And everyone's like, I don't understand, like, how he is able to fucking cheat on his wife so much. I'm like, well, look at who he's cheating on his wife with. They're dogs. And nothing against them, but usually that's like the chicks that he cheats on his wife with are often lesbians or women that don't get it from anybody else. So he takes advantage of that. Also, he's a manager. He holds a management position. At every job he's ever had, he's been a manager. And what he would do is that he would go into the employee records to find the personal information of someone he wanted to talk to and text them or send them a Facebook friend request. And there was even a running joke whenever we get together with friends. And my friends wouldn't tell me this shit. The friend group wouldn't tell me because they thought I was close with them. And that like they were afraid to tell me things. So for a while, I didn't know he was doing shit because no one told me. There was a running joke. Hey, don't let so-and-so meet your girlfriend because he'll fucking DM her on Facebook or send her a text. And it was true. Every time a friend of ours would bring a new girlfriend around, he was right in their Facebook DMs that day.
Wow.
And it was just like, why? And then like they would ask him, like, why are you doing that? He's like, well, they're part of the friend group. I just want to add them. And that's not why he was doing it. He was trying to find his in,
That's wild.
And he would do this shit to like coworkers. And then he got fired. It was years ago. I think it was like right after I got out of the Army. It was right after I got out of the Army. He ended up he got a job as a manager, just got promoted, had surgery. While he was on recovery from surgery, they fired him. And they told him that he got fired because of him missing work. And I'm like, that's against the law. They can't fire you for that. And I gave him the name of a lawyer to talk to. He would never entertain it. And I didn't know why. I'm like, this dude got fired for something and he's not telling me. Because he got fired from every single job because they were saying time theft. He said time theft or they were laying him off or something, but the truth was he was like cheating. He was like cheating on like sleeping with women at work. Like he would meet up with these women from work, take him to his house. And like his wife worked with him and he was still cheating on his wife with coworkers.
Wild.
And with people that they worked with.
That's insane.
So the cheating never stopped, which I came to find out later. But then I found out he got fired again from his new job after about a year or so. And they laid me off and this was during COVID. So I was just like, oh dude, that sucks. And, then someone came to me like, do you know why he really got let go? I was like, he got laid off. And they're like, no, he was inappropriately texting a 16-year-old coworker. And I was like, what? And they're like, and it's not the first time he's done it. He got fired from that other job because of the same thing. And the family was suing the company because they wouldn't do anything about it. And I was like, what? So during the lawsuit, the first place he got fired from, he was inappropriately texting a 16-year-old, sending her text pictures, all that shit, and being a real creep. And he was her manager, so she was like, I didn't know what to do. He got fired for that because the family was suing the company because they wouldn't fire him. They didn't pursue charges because then again, this was before like that was like a like sending those kinds of things was a crime to be charged with. So they were suing the company. The company settled, fired him, went to another company. And I remember seeing when that Facebook for that new company posted about his hiring, people were in the comments saying that like, I can't believe you hired this guy. He's known for this, this, and this. And that company was deleting the comments off of Facebook. He started doing it again. And this time, like, he was so harassing to these girls, they would quit their jobs because he was their manager and their manager is like trying to like hook up with them and he wouldn't stop. They would quit their jobs. And finally, he was talking to a 16-year-old, sending dick pics, sending underwear pics to this girl, and they finally fired him. I found out about all this shit. And that he was also cheating on his wife with other coworkers, bringing them home while his wife was at work and shit. I was like so disgusted and in disbelief. I could not believe that the guy that I considered my best friend, my brother, I'm godfather to his kids, is doing this kind of shit and lying about it, true narcissist, by the way, blaming his wife for him cheating on her. She doesn't do anything with me. She's just got an attitude like, you know, she doesn't touch me or anything like that. I'm like, I wouldn't touch you either if I was a fucking chick. You are nasty. And like, I was going through all these emotions. So I know what Tim and Nick are feeling, because the emotions I was feeling was rage. I was feeling betrayal, confusion. I didn't know how to act with it, because he always wanted to hang out. Hey, come to my son's soccer game. Hey, you should come over to the cookout. And I'm like, I didn't even want to look at him. I didn't want to be around him. I didn't know how to handle it. And I was like, I have to confront him with this. But how? And the way I wanted to do it is like, I wanted to confront him in front of his wife, but I didn't want the kids there. And I was like, I told his wife, hey, I need to talk to you guys today about something. And don't let him know that I'm telling you this, but it's a very serious conversation and you need to be there too. I highly recommend you get a babysitter. He texts me and says that, like, listen, everything with my wife is fine. I'm like, he's reading her fucking texts. He knew what I was saying to her. He was going through her phone and shit all the time, having total control over his wife. His wife is a sweet woman, very timid, has no family. Her parents are both dead. Her brother doesn't have a relationship with her anymore. Her sister is the only family she has, and her sister was going through her own problems. She has no family. She's with this guy because and every time he would cheat on her and get caught, she would end up pregnant after she caught him. Because he would, like, you know, do the whole, like, I'm sorry, do the makeup sex thing, knock her up so that she felt like she couldn't leave. And it disgusted me. I wanted to beat the fucking brakes off this dude. I actually went as far as I planned on pulling a gun on him and making him admit everything.
Really?
Oh, dude, I was gonna do something fucking that bad. I was like, because I know he's gonna lie to me and deny everything. And I'm going to have to scare the fucking life out of him in order to get him to admit anything. Because I know how his brain works. He thinks he can manipulate me, but he can't. And he'll lie and lie and lie. But you're my best friend. You should be on my side. And actually had me thinking back to a time with one of my ex-girlfriends. She told me that he was, like, being creepy and inappropriately touching her. And I didn't believe her. Because I'm like, he wouldn't do that. He knows I'd fucking kill him. Plus, my ex at the time was a notorious habitual liar. So I couldn't really, she made it hard for me to believe her because she was a fucking compulsive liar. She lied about weird shit too. So I didn't believe her. After all this, I was like, I believe her now. But yeah, I went to his house and I sat down with him and I lied to him and told him I got the court records from that lawsuit. And I told him, and I was just like, why did you get fired from that place? And he was like, oh, I told you why, because of this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask you again. I want you to fucking lie to me because I know what really happened. So tell me. Why did you get fired from that place? He's like, I was talking to a girl who was underage. And I was like, why? He's like, I didn't know. And I'm like, you know what? It reminds me of To Catch a Predator. What is the one thing they all fucking say? Oh, I didn't know she was under 18. And I was like, dude, that's bullshit, because not only were you her manager who had access to her fucking records, you knew she was underage because you're her boss. You have her information. You know how old she is. You can't play that fucking lie. And I was like, you were inappropriately texting a minor. I'm like, do you know that's a crime? Do you know you can go to jail for that? You're like, what you're doing is like, you are a predator. You're a sex offender. And I was like, I want to fucking kill you right now. And unfortunately, his kids were there. I had his kids go up to their rooms. And I told them all, I was like, hey, go up to the rooms. Like, their third was a baby still, so she didn't really know what was going on. But his wife was sitting right there crying and shit as I'm saying all this stuff. I was like, I know what you fucking did. And I said, you did this. And he tried denying some of it. And I went into more detail with some of it. And he was just like, okay. He admitted to all of it.
Yeah.
And I said, your wife thinks that she can't get her way out because she has no one. But I promise I will still be here to help her with the kids. But as far as I'm concerned with you, you're fucking dead to me. But I knew he would lie to me. I was so pissed. I wanted to cave his fucking head in. I was that fucking pissed at this shit. Not only was he cheating on his wife, but he was fucking around with underage girls, or at least attempting to. And I'm like, I was like, you have a teenage niece. He's like, I would never. I'm like, I don't know that. You're the fucking creepy uncle now. I'm like, what would your brothers think? And his family is so fucked up. His mom blamed his wife for their divorce. Despite the fact his wife caught him cheating on her. Because after I confronted them, they both blocked me on social media. And she stayed with him.
Wild.
Up until she caught him. I actually reconnected with her and talked to her about all this stuff. But yes, the feelings that you get when you have someone that's really close to you that's pulling shit like that is overwhelming, to say the least, because you don't know what to do with it. All you can, like, if you're like me and you were like absolutely zero tolerance for that shit, you want to fucking kill him. I wanted to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I was like, you're dead to me, dude. Don't ever fucking talk to me again. I said, there's gonna come a day where you are gonna get caught up and you are gonna go to fucking jail, and it sucks because your family's gonna suffer from it. It's just a matter of time for that motherfucker to get caught.
Yeah.
I'd name him, but I don't know. He's got a lot of legal issues on his side between like avoiding banks and shit for debts and stuff. House got foreclosed on.
Wrapped up in that shit.
No. Well, he tried wrapping me up in that shit because he tried bill collectors for running away from his debts. He gave them my information and told them I was him. So I had bill collectors blowing my phone up every 5 minutes, every day, and would not listen to me when I told them, I am not this individual. Stop calling me. And finally, I got a hold of one of them and talked to him. And I was like, listen, they're like, hey, Mr. So-and-so, we know that you're trying to evade. I'm like, listen, I can tell you right now, I know this guy. I used to be close with him. I'm not close with him anymore, but I do have his actual information if you would like it. Because I said he's evading you by telling you that I'm him. Mm-hmm. And that right there, I even was just like, I'm going to fucking... I almost went to his work and confronted him at his work. I was that fucking pissed. I'm like, if another fucking bill collector calls me again, I'm going to break your fucking kneecaps. Like, that's how I felt. I was so pissed. So... yeah, it's a conflicting thing, and it sucks, especially like, your favorite content creator turns out to be a fucking complete creep. And it just also sucks if you were close with a person like that. It's like I get how Nick Merckx and Tim feel. I know how Nick and Tim both feel. I've been in that situation where you don't know what to say. And a lot of people look at you like you know what was happening. Because my friends at first were all like, how did you not know? And I'm like, because he never told me. And I would never think that, you don't think that someone that you're close to is capable of shit like that until you see it happen. And it sucked.
That's a lot. Like, that's just some shit that you just fucking, because you're right. How do you react to that?
There's
when you're that close to somebody.
It's tough. There is no way to react to it. It's like, I can't sit here and just, because it's like you either do something and it basically, like, the hardest thing for me was because I'm really close with the kids and his wife. They look at me as their uncle, and I'm just like, I know that if I cut ties with him, I'm gonna lose. I'm never gonna see them again. Or I'm not going to, like, my relationship with them is going to be gone too.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, it was really tough because I'm like, dude, I can't just be accepting of this and not say something. But I also, like, how do I do this without losing, like, my relationship with those kids and his wife?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing about it too. Because if you didn't do anything, the rage would just build and build and build and build
guilt.
Until you made a worse decision. Yeah, and the guilt, because you're like, I know about this, I'm doing nothing, until you make a worse decision and you waited 5 years, and then now their kids are older and they understand all this stuff, and then you blow up on them in front of them. You know what I mean?
I sat on that information that I was told for almost a year before I finally confronted him, because I was trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. How am I going to confront him? How am I going to do it without the kids being involved? How am I going to do it so his wife knows? How am I going to do it to where I also have all the information that I need to like prove myself, to prove that I'm accurate? I also wanted to be very accurate on everything before I did it, because I didn't want to like be just like confront him and then it just like all he was doing was cheating on his wife. No underage people were involved. So I talked to his former coworkers, and they all told me this. They all told me the same thing. All the shit he was doing. I wanted to get all my facts straight before I confronted him. And it took me about a year to do that, because some of the coworkers didn't want to talk about it at all. Because they looked at me like, well, you're his best friend. It's going to get back to him that it was me that told you. And I had to like really convince them that like, no, it's not going to be like, they even said certain details they didn't want me to bring up to him, because then he would know it was them. And I was like, okay, I won't bring that part up. I'll just stick with these couple of things.
Yeah, just like, and I mean, shit. I mean, you fooled them. You know.
Yeah.
You made it be like, hey, I got access to some things that I know you know about. Nobody else does, but me and you are the only ones that know. And you're not lying about this. There's no getting out.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's funny because like, no, you can't actually look up the court and find that lawsuit or that settlement or anything or the details of it.
But when you're guilty of something,
you don't know that.
You know. Like, you don't know that. You just know that it's true, and you're like, oh, fuck.
It's like,
you know what I mean?
You know it's
like,
true. How do you know it's true? That's got to be true that you know that.
Yeah, because they know it's true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, obviously they know. You know what I mean? It's like, just don't do dumb-ass shit, ever. Like,
yeah, but you know what though, dude? Fucking shitty people will do shitty people things. Predators will do predatory things, and there's nothing you can really do about it, you know. And I'm sorry
until the damage is done. Sadly,
yeah, I am sorry to.
That's how our legal system works.
I'm sorry to have the tail end of this episode be so like bleak, but you know, it's like it was the biggest topic in gaming, and it's one that I can fucking relate to because I've been on the other side of it, of like someone close to me doing something similar to like that and it's like, I know what it's like to be a person that's connected to the person doing these things and the thought process behind the, like, around the people that Doc was surrounded by. So it's like, I know the thought process of those people. I know what they're thinking right now. I can't imagine what his wife is thinking. Like, dude, not only were you cheating on me, but you were talking to fucking teenage girls.
Yeah.
And his wife's hot. Like, what the fuck, dude? You know? And she's still stuck with him. She's still stuck with him after she found out he cheated on her. And still stuck with him. And it was like, damn. I feel like that she was also in that situation where she's like, he's the breadwinner. I have a kid with him. You know, this is my family.
He can provide me a really good future with this, and we don't have to worry about money. Like, there's a lot of factors on that when it comes to like cheating for people that are victims of being cheated on.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, all right, I've got a good history with this person. You know what I mean? This is just a hiccup, but they can also still provide this, that, and the third, and like people can like, you know, be like, okay, but this with a fucking minor is like, dude, that's like,
I know there's few like, obviously infidelity is something that I guess if you really could work through it, you could work through it, but infidelity like this is not recoverable because because now she has to like think about like, how can I stay with someone like this? How can I look at him the same?
Yeah, and she never will.
And he has a daughter.
Yeah.
So it's like, she has her daughter to think about. She has her future to think about, like what it's going to look like for her if she stays with him. You know? And it's like, that is not an easy decision to make. So if you guys are going to be like, why is his wife still with him? Think of it like that. Like, it's not like just throwing, like ending it all is not just an easy decision to make. Like, look at my friend's wife. She stayed with him for 3 more years after I told her that. She admitted she was only still with him. She, in front of him, admitted she was only still with him because he was the only family she had left. And that she really didn't want to be with him, but because she had kids with him and he was the only family that he made her feel like she had, and that she would be nowhere without him, she stayed with him because she felt like she had nowhere else to go. And I will tell you this, here's how big of a piece of shit this dude is. when they separated, he's living with a new girlfriend. She's living in a hotel room with the kids.
Wow.
Their oldest son is sleeping on an air mattress on the fucking motel room floor.
That's awful.
Her and 3 kids share a 2-bed hotel room, a twin bed hotel room.
That's
where
awful.
their youngest sleeps in the bed with her. Their middle kid, which is an 12-year-old daughter, sleeps on her own bed. Their 14-year-old son sleeps on a fucking air mattress on the floor. Meanwhile, this fucking nasty fuck is living at his girlfriend's house. Has a roof over his head, has a home to go to with bedrooms and shit, and working AC and heat and stuff. Meanwhile, his kids and his kids are living in a fucking hotel room together with no microwave, with just a microwave, no refrigerator, none of that stuff.
That's awful.
Like, literally, they're just living off fast food and whatever they can get.
That fucking sucks.
I know. It pisses me off even more to hear that, because I know that it's his fault it's his fault they're in this position, and he's living all good and cushy, and his kids are struggling.
He just obviously doesn't give a fuck.
His son is a teenager now, which is crazy to me. He starts freshman year this year, and I know, because I started talking to them all again. He has my number. I know there's going to come a time where he's going to ask me questions, and I don't know how to answer them.
Yeah.
You know, I think he kind of knows a little bit. He just knows that I don't talk to his dad anymore so far.
Yeah.
And
He just knows something bad happened.
he just knows
obviously.
that, like, his dad being bad to his mom, he thinks it's that, which is part of it. But there was more to it that I cannot tell him until he's older.
Yeah. That's one of those things, like, while they're younger, just, you know that your dad was bad to your mom. That's all you need to know right now. When you're, honestly, I feel like it's one of those whenever the questions become smarter, and it's like, okay,
And the
listen,
answers
I
become
know
harder.
there's more to this. I need answers. That's when you're like, all right, if you're asking the right questions, you're old enough to know the truth. Because it's like, obviously you're really thinking about this, and it sucks. It's going to be hard for you whenever that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to, I mean, yeah, while he is a complete piece of shit, that's still
Their
that
dad.
kid's dad. And you don't want to be the reason that someone hates their parent.
I want their
But-
parent to be the reason why they hate their parent.
Exactly. You don't want to feel like it's your fault. Which is what sucks about having that knowledge and bestowing it upon him whenever he's like old enough to ask. It's like, yeah, he already has some resentment. He's living in a fucking motel room
See, for
with
me,
his mom.
it's not so much that I don't want to be the reason why he hates his dad. I personally could give 2 fucks if I'm the reason why he hates his dad. I'm more worried about how it's going to affect him, like the kid. Because if, like, certain information, if he knows about that information, he knows the details of that, where it's like, your dad was sexually talking to a girl that's 2 years older than you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would be in school with that person if he was doing it right now.
No.
Like that could fuck him up thinking of that. That's why I'm like, I want his act. It'll fuck him up either way. When he finds out that information, it's more of like, I just want to try to protect him with that, so like, because I know how it will probably have a very bad adverse effect on him.
Oh yeah.
Whether or not he has a good relationship with his father, I could care less. Like, hey, your dad did it, and just like, I'm more worried about how it's going to affect the kid.
Yeah.
Like, even if it is my fault, like, they don't like why he doesn't talk to his dad anymore. Like, hey, I know it's my fault that you don't talk to me anymore, but you know what? I'm here for you, and your dad will say he's here for you too. But I can promise you right now, like, there's a lot of things that your dad's not going to tell you, and I don't want him to look at me like the bad guy.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
if you tell him those things, he could look at me like the bad guy. I want him to find that out when he's ready and when he's mature enough and when he or if he finds out on his own. Honestly,
Yeah.
be the best case scenarios when he finds out on his own, or if his mom tells him.
Yeah, then, very well could be. Like, anyway, you look at a situation like that. There's no winner in those situations.
No.
There's no one wins. Everyone's fucking hurt, and yeah. Anyway, it's just shitty. It's fucking shitty. There are shitty people in this world that, fuck. I don't even really have any more words for any of this anymore, because it's just like it's all shitty.
It's all shitty. It's a fucking shit sandwich. It's rough. How do you deal with it? Especially with this doctor disrespect thing. It's like, but that also does raise the question of like, what is with these fucking like popular, wealthy people, creators are like coming out as being colossal pieces of shit after they've got money, like they just squander it away. I think I'm gonna throw my career and money away to talk to a 16-year-old. Like, what? You would risk that?
I have an assumption on some of them, like the ones that became very famous on YouTube in the early days when they themselves were in high school. I don't think they ever really grew up, because they started making money from YouTube and shit, and just never really mentally developed past, like, for example, like the Minecraft YouTubers that got caught for this. I don't even remember their names, but I just remember the memes of it being like Minecraft YouTubers, and it was like one after the other.
Jesus.
They started doing it when they were younger, and they just never fully developed because they never had a for lack of a better term, a real job. They never interacted with people their age at a certain point, because all their friends that played it with them grew up and got jobs and quit playing. So they start playing with viewers, and at that point it's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. We're like the same age. So, okay, yeah. And then they just get older, and then those people quit doing it, and then they keep going back down. And it's not an excuse, but I think for those people that's part of the reason is they just never fucking grew up, and they just thought they could keep doing this, and just
they're a child in their mind still.
They're a child in their mind still. And again, I'm not giving these people a fucking excuse, because it's still revolting and disgusting. But I think they've just surrounded them, like those people specifically have surrounded themselves around a younger crowd their entire lives, to where they don't ever get out and go do anything. So they think like, oh, okay, this is my crowd. Yeah, and it gets bad. That's like the fear of like the whole fucking doing this shit. That's like the whole like letting your kid do YouTube and be on the internet at too young of an age is like, A, they can get taken advantage of, and B,
they could turn into that.
Hopefully not turn into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking, you got to have real world experience to fucking make better decisions for yourself. And some people just don't, and they think they can get away with shit and fucking never learn hard lessons until they learn the hardest fucking lesson. And at that point, it's not a lesson anymore. It's something that you should inherently be like, no, that's gross. But they don't. It's fucking, anyway.
Yeah. Got heavy at the end there, didn't it?
It did, yeah. I probably gotta get going here soon. My door keeps getting knocked on, as you've been hearing.
I haven't heard the knocks, but I have seen you look up like you're talking to somebody.
I've had people come in like 4 times, like, you almost done yet? You almost done yet? You almost done yet? And I'm like, I'll be done when I'm done.
Captain fucking Popular over here. All right, let's actually wrap this up then. So yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Sorry I got a little heavy at the end there, but that's kind of what the Barracks Party is all about. Sometimes you just got to get a little heavy, got to get a little bit heavy, and then you have these conversations with people, that like at a real Barracks Party you would have these kinds of conversations, except to be a little bit more drunken, but But yeah, so anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We love you all. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you on the next Barracks Party episode. Keep your eye out for it. So I'm going to try to push this out earlier this week if I can. So
hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. Anyway, have a good one, guys, and we'll see you at the next party. Bye.
Bye.
We